Okay, I got this. One sec. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ProPokeBowl Season 3, Week 3. My name is ProPokeBowl, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. A week ago, one Twitch site crash and one absolute flub by noob ago. We had 4 teams that have come out on top and have tied each other in 4 different points tiers. Let's take a look at these, ladies and gentlemen. The LA Legends and the Arizona Articunos are in close contention between each other, tied for first place with 2 2-0 victories at 6 points apiece. W Wellington and the Houston Haluchas tied for third at 4 points. New York Nidoran Males and the New York Ninetales, 2 New York teams, interestingly enough, tied for 1 point each, and the Galissa Padres and the Ottawa Centrets yet to have themselves on the board. But of course, they have multiple weeks to try and get themselves back in it. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about the stats this time, because it's interesting for players to note anyways. But this week, in round 3, to actually get this right for once, the New York Ninetales are up against the Arizona Articunos, Galissa Padres versus W Wellington, the Ottawa Centrets versus the New York Nidoran Males, and the LA Legends versus the Houston Haluchas. Most times when we have actually paid attention to scores, we have tended to notice that about halfway or just before halfway, you can generally see the trends of where people are going to be placing as a result of the fact that when you win a 2-0, you get 3 points, whereas when you're tying, you're only getting a point each, and a complete loss really sets you back about 3 points. So it's very, very, very important to try and rack up as many points as possible every single week, even if it's just a 1-1 victory. That just keeps you ever so close to try and find that way in for you to collect on the 3 points. But tonight, we're going to have to see if anyone can break this. One of the very interesting ones, in fact, not just because of the players, but one of the most interesting ones that's going to be happening tonight is the LA Legends versus the Houston Haluchas, because there are some implications that are going on with the points right now. If you actually take a look at the Houston Haluchas, with that 1-1 tie with the New York Ninetales back in Week 2, it actually set them down into a tie with W Wellington. An upset tonight would be required in order for Inert Fury to actually take first place with 7 points, which would also mean Arizona Articunos have to be upset. A 1-1, however, could keep the LA Legends from shooting off into first place with a 2-0 victory. And I'm not too sure whether or not there are actually going to be any 2-0s at all, because, to be honest, I'm just more or less excited to see what they're going to be bringing against each other. But every match is going to be very, very exciting tonight. So let's take a look at these really quickly. What happened? Ha! Did it. We're good. There we go. What happened to my face? Oh, because I was feeling sick. That's why I turned off my face. There we go. Yes, I did get a haircut. But we are going to be starting off with, I don't know who to actually play, but let's just quickly review the teams. There were a couple of trades that happened back before Week 3. It was the New York Nidoran Males and the New York Ninetales that actually both made trades. So let's just review those quickly. In the New York Ninetales, Gorbis was traded out for the Alolan Golem. New York Ninetales, we've talked about the fact they have so many water Pokemon. It just seemed too much and added too much weakness to the team when it came to trying to build team composition. So he said, screw it, we're going to throw away the arguably weakest water Pokemon on the team. He already has a Shell Smasher in the form of Cloyster, and he already has other solid water Pokemon like Quagsire and, where's the other one? Araquanid, that already served their defensive roles. So Gorbis just seems to be the natural weakest link. Goodbye. Brings in a Alolan Golem. Interestingly enough, I did look up a little bit of Alolan Golem. It can do some interesting things. The offensive rock and electro typing is not the absolute worst. The biggest issue is the ×4 weakness to ground, and we already see how impressive ground is in this tournament. And in most tournaments, because, I mean, ground's one of the best types in the game. So I'm curious to see what he's going to be doing, if he's just picking that up to try and counter other people's water Pokemon. Funnily enough, you would think that other people would pick up the Alolan Golem to counter all the water, but they already have enough answers in the form of grass or electric Pokemon of their own. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do with that. The other trade was the New York Nidoran Males. They have opted to trade away their Vileplume in exchange for Palossand. Funnily enough, we were actually talking about this in Week 2, the fact that he has both Vileplume and Amoonguss just generally does the job better. Whereas Vileplume doesn't really add much other unique utility to itself other than having the Effect Spore, I guess. But he has brought in the Palossand. Palossand, I think, is kind of not an overlooked Pokemon, but ground ghost typing. Does have the water compact, or whatever one it is when it gets hit by a water type, it gets something. It gets some kind of defensive boost. But it's a neat Pokemon. I'm just curious to see if he's actually going to use it or if there's a particular reason. Again, most of the time these Pokemon are being picked up as just kind of the strongest out of the pools. But I don't think Palossand is actually underrated, neither is Alolan Golem, especially in a draft tier. So we'll have to see what they do with this. And yeah, That's pretty much what we're going to look for. So New York Ninetales and the New York Nidoran males both sharing 5th place, and both cannot trade through the next week. Lord Scrubbington is back on the market. Let's take a quick look at the teams. Let's call upon the two that are here. Let's start with the Arizona Articunos versus the New York Ninetales. Last week, Alyssa Padres kind of got a little shat on by the Arizona Articunos. Struggled to try and get some things going for it. But in the end, it was also just really well played from from the Arizona Articunos, just recognizing that they had the Feraligatr, that it just had the answers that World Leader did not. So as a result, it just was easy for them to sweep through and just keep the pressure up. On the side of Alyssa Padres, we saw some interesting sets come out. Again, some of the unique sets coming up from World Leader that actually put a little bit of pressure, but I feel like the Articunos handled it much better than the first week, where we saw kind of, that panic when it was up against Inert Fury. And, the Snorlax almost catching people off guard with what Marie built, or what Marie was playing with it and things like that. We'll see what he ends up bringing against his opponent this week. But let's talk about the New York Ninetales. 1-1 on week 2. Definitely showed some growth. A different playstyle. Week 1 was a substitute with Key to Succession. You could already see a distinct difference in the way that the teams were approached. Not saying that neither of them played it worse than each other, but we saw that Key to Succession built more of a hyper-aggressive team, which is what we called this roster, and went all in with it, tried to get as many kills as it was, as he could, and try and go from there. But it didn't work out very well, and then we see the New York Ninetales come in and kind of turn Kyurem into that physically defensive, or especially defensive Kyurem, where it just, stalled and did its thing, which was interesting for a nice dragon typing, but it did the job and got him the win, but then it was handled effectively in the second match. So we'll have to see if he's going to be bringing that type of stuff. I suspect the Alolan Golem might be something going on. I'm really curious to see if he's going to use something like an Oricorio Psychic type, because that's the Psychic Flying type. It could be quad resistant to the fighting. It could handle Conkeldurr quite well. As well as he just has some Pokemon like Superior Araquanid handles Conkeldurr decently, I guess. Not well, but it can take a hit or two. Pidgeot and Superior might be the big things, because the one thing that we noticed on the side of the Arizona Articunos is the speed issue, right? The base speed issue of the team is relatively slower than what we expect, and what he had last time, which was just a Mega Alakazam that set up turn 1, got the base 150 speed, and just went crazy. So we'll have to see if he's going to be using some kind of Scarf, or maybe we'll see some PZ coming out with some Scarf on it, just to do some additional damage to it, or just try and handle these faster Pokemon that the New York Ninetales get. So we'll give an opportunity to set up, boys, on Showdown. Of course, if you guys want to follow, join the Pokemon Trader Society, join into PokemonShowdown.com, and then go into a chat, go /join PTS. You can watch the battles live from there. Should be interesting. I'm really, really excited to see what these guys are going to be bringing, because I think that if one thing that Mitch has over Lord Scrubbington is the speed, and we'll see if the hyper-aggressiveness can actually break through the bulkiness that is this team. Of course, for the other participants who have not submitted their teams, please make sure you get those Pokepastes into me before your battles as best as you can. I really need them so that we can just make sure that everybody's on the same page. Ivan, we will try and make you go, but the thing is, you're up against Lukeman. He's not even here, I believe. Let me just check really quickly. You're up against World Leader, so yeah, we're gonna have to make you go second, because Ottawa Centrits aren't here yet, and Rich has to go last. He's a little busy. I don't know where he actually is. I'm gonna have to talk to him. I mean, he hasn't been feeling well lately, so it's a bit unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into the match. Let's get into it. Game 1, Series 1, Game 1 of the night between the New York Ninetales on the close side and the Arizona Articunos on the far side. Yes, I have Tyler, or Diego, whichever one you are. Let's take a look at the teams. We see that Araquanid Kyurem comp come out, but we also see a little Golem and the Quagsire. This is a very bulky line he's come out with to try and handle what Scrubbington could be bringing. I kind of like it because we know that Scrubbington just has the raw power, and if he can tank it up enough and use enough different switches that he can handle it, he might be able to actually get his faster Pokemon in the form of Pidgeot and Keldeo in, try and manage it. But it is going to be the Alolan Golem facing down a Flygon. Don't know if that's necessarily the best thing that he wants to see. The Alolan Golem could have... I don't know what the Alolan Golem actually would do. Maybe handle the Gramble, but the Pidgeot's going to come in as the U-turn comes out. Articuno's no, he's not going to stay in to risk the Earthquake. He's going to make a straight switch into Bronzong. Bronzong will be able to tank up the Heat Wave that this Mega Pidgeot could be carrying. I'm actually kind of curious if he's brought Heat Proof on his Bronzong as a result of just, knowing that ground's not going to be insane. It's a Alolan Golem, so it doesn't have stab ground. You're sending it on Rich? Okay, thanks, Rich. I'll make a quick note of it. But he is going to set up the rocks as you do see the switch into the Alolan Golem. So the Alolan Golem clearly... Oh, God. Alolan Golem is clearly the response to the Bronzong. Let's see what he actually has for it that's going to be doing it. But the Flygon does come as the Stealth Rock does come through. Trying to probably just look for the straight Stealth Rock setup turn 1. But now Flygon is going to threaten. Now, do the Ninetales stay in here and predict another U-turn? I don't know what it actually gain him. Because he could just switch back into Bronzong, which might even prove that he has Levitate as well. But the Earthquake does come out. Articunos don't want to necessarily take the risk. I feel like this is Scarf with the way he's playing it, but Bronzong is going to come out on the Pidgeot. As Pidgeot doesn't actually Mega Evolve. Interesting. Has he forgotten the Mega Stone? Because if he did, he cannot use it, but unfortunately for him, he is not going to get that Heat Wave prediction off without No Guard. That's a 90% accurate move, ladies and gentlemen. He does not get that damage off despite his prediction. Also, this is not a caller from, like, the church. This is a Twitch button. It didn't show up as well. Defog does come through, gets rid of rocks on both sides. The Toxic now comes out on the Pidgeot. The best thing to do for Scrubbington is just to try and catch something with the status. Doesn't have to necessarily go for it, but he is going to now set up, go for the Hurricane, looks for the Confusion, doesn't get it. The Stealth Rock is going to set back up. Now, the thing for Scrubbington here is he can actually just keep going. He got him for Toxic here. He can just keep going for Rocks because he knows eventually this thing's going to die to Poison. So he's going to be able to keep his Rocks up. Or Pidgeot now has to switch out and come back in as Death Fodder unless he has a second spinner, which it doesn't look like he has. The Roost is going to come through. The Gyro Ball is going to bring it right down to where the Poison is going to kill off the Mega Pidgeot. So Rocks in vain with the Articuno sitting up here. So far, if Inert Fury is looking to upset Diego's points, Articuno's going to stay at the top because of that one match that Rich has forfeited to Ivan. Alolan Golem has come in now. I still don't know what this thing wants to do, unless it's carrying like an electric attack, try and threaten this thing. But Bronzong's just pretty much walling almost anything that New York Ninetales want to do. He's going to make the switch into the Flygon as the Stealth Rock come out again. Mitch very adamant about getting this out. Didn't he lose to Ivan week 2? I don't remember. No, he lost to Mitch. What am I saying? Ha! Anyways, Kyurem comes in. Earthquake comes through. Fair amount of damage. He knows he can outspeed. That is not enough HP to tank the ground, so he's just going to go for it again. Actually gets a low roll. Unfortunate for him. The Ice Beam does come through. Flygon is taken down. Like I said, after this week, I'll have a pretty good idea of what happened between everybody, because I just haven't had enough time to look up everything. It's been insane with all the tutoring and all the stuff I'm setting up for Extra Life. It's taken a lot of time up. Now, Conkeldurr comes in. What stops it from setting up? Whether it has a Flame Orb, if it has Bulk Up, or anything like that. I guess Quagsire, but Drain Punch is going to hurt that. Arachnid could tank up pretty much anything it wants to go for. I do expect it to come out. But Mach Punch is just going to be thrown through instead. Interesting that he doesn't want to risk it. Okay, so the Mach Punch makes sense because he does have the Flame Orb. Thought maybe he might go for a Drain Punch on the off chance he goes for a weird switch, but Arachnid does come in. However, this is a 1.5 times attack Conkeldurr. Stone Edge will kill no matter what. So he's got to be cognizant of what moveset Articunos will be running. Although on the bright side for the New York Ninetales, they can at least scout the moves and choose the best defensive stats that he could find. But Z-move Hydro Vortex, not even taking out that Gramble. That might be an Assault Vest Gramble. Or just specially defensive. With did he have Intimidate? Actually. Oh, he does have Intimidate. There it is. Perfect. Gramble is going to be tanking up. Leech Life doing absolutely nothing. Whatever water move it was, he should have gone for it because now the rest comes through on this Gramble. Confirmed it cannot be Assault Vest. It could be max HP and just tanked it really, really well because Arachnid is not the most offensive Pokemon either. The Play Rough unfortunately misses on the Alolan Golem as he gets the Sleep Talk roll into it. Now the Alolan Golem Can probably go for... he actually ends up going for Earthquake. I was going to say something like a Gyro Ball, but the Sleep Talk comes through. The rest comes through again. He will wake up this turn. Not sure if Mitch necessarily brought the right power to take on this team, because this looks like a super solid team to handle what the New York Ninetales have brought out in Game 1. Arizona Articuno was definitely in control. Stone Edge is going to come through. Doesn't even do that much more than the Earthquake, and the Roar comes through. He's going to start doing some shuffling with the Roars. The Araquanid is brought out. This is bad. Toxic misses. Play Rough doesn't kill, though. Has a redemption opportunity to get that poison off. Does end up getting it. The Roar is a smart play here by the Arizona Articunos because now he cannot do anything with the Araquanid. It now can only serve as death fodder. Which means if you even try to death fodder it now, for example, Articunos are comfortable. But the Toxic is on. Return actually comes through. Does not quite kill. But he knows he can go for rest and just heal up all over again. This is already over with the fact that we haven't seen what the Keldeo... What can the Keldeo do to this team? If it's Scarfed or if it has any type of build to it, it's got to be able to cover... I mean, Secret Sword hits PZ. Gramble seems to be bulky in the special defensive side. He has a Moongus, which seems to handle both stabs quite well. From Keldeo, I need to see how he's going to try and come back into this. Play Rough doesn't do that much damage, so... On the bright side, you could just keep going for return, maybe hope for a crit. But instead, he's just going to opt to switch into Quagsire instead. Sleep Talk Play Rough 2 times in a row. Lucky for the Articunos, but... I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do here. If he doesn't have Gyro Ball, he cannot even hand... Well, Gramble wouldn't even hurt, so... Return makes, I guess, the most sense in terms of moveset. But either way, he's going to switch into the Amoonguss. Scaldinup's coming through. Even if it burned, it would just be mitigated by the Black Sludge. This seems like the New York Ninetales trying to scramble to get any type of information about Lord Scrubbington's team, but Giga Drain comes through. It's a one-shot on Quagsire, clearly. Not much more for the Ninetales to do. Now, of course, we've always talked about this. A tactical strat would be to hide stats if you know you're not going to be able to win, so we don't necessarily frown upon surrendering. Not telling you to surrender, Mitch, not at all, but what I am saying is there have been people who have hidden movesets and knowing that they are going to lose with the moveset, which can kind of indicate sometimes what players have, but at the same time, it does save the information. As the Araquanid comes out, just dies. He realizes Keldeo is his last Pokemon. It's not going to be able to do it. The Arizona Articunos already up 1-0, starting with that Bronzong and Flygon switching around, and just seeing New York Ninetales not having anything. Giga Drain comes through, does a fair amount of damage. One more is going to spell it, ladies and gentlemen. Lord Scrubbington and Arizona Articunos up 1-0. Don't know much more you could say about that match, ladies and gentlemen. It just seemed like he was... I did not, World Leader. You have to send it back to me again, okay? Thanks. Well, we saw that switch come through from the New York Ninetales. I don't think it's going to be enough because it just seems like Scrubbington had his number, knew exactly when he wanted to go in, had all of his Pokemon handled. Although we were right on the stat where he was trying to work with the speed. Now, one thing we didn't mention about the raw power of these Pokemon is, well, it also comes with defense and HP stats and special defense stats on these Pokemon. Conkeldurr is no pushover. PZ is. But Conkeldurr is no pushover when it comes to bulk. And he does have the Amoonguss Bronzong combination. So, well, let's see. If we look at the other Pokemon he could possibly bring, Haxorus might be his next best bet. Because Yanmega still can't even kill the Amoonguss. You're going to need something that just can literally, either you get the Kiramin on the Amoonguss to try and handle it, or he has to preserve that a little more, because I don't know. Pidgeot was Slummet wasted, to be honest, and looking at that defensive core, Haxorus might just be the next best bet. Bring the, I don't know what he actually has on it, but I mean, the Outrage has done wonders for him in week 2, try to do as much damage as possible with it. So, Superior with HP Fire, but otherwise, I don't know what else is going to be going on. World Leader, that's just a link to the website. Thanks, though. On the side of Scrubbington, he doesn't have to reveal anything. I think, in fact, he brought the optimal comp to just pretty much handle whatever he's going to bring. If he wants to suspect something like Superior and things like that, he could bring out the likes of... Well, actually, you know what? Gramble will probably still handle it. Even though he'll be building upon it, the Play Rough should still do a lot of damage if he's able to tank up a couple of them. Bronzong could still tank it. He has to be able to go for a couple of contrary boosts before HP Fire would do any significant damage. If he even wants to, I don't know if he would suspect it, but Skuntank could be going for something like Sucker Punch, try and handle it, but... Either way, ladies and gentlemen, we are in game number 2. Between the New York Ninetales and the Arizona Articunos. Up 1-0, looking to go with 3 2-0s to start off Season 3. Arizona Articunos bringing the same team. Looking at the New York Ninetales. He has brought the Superior over the Pidgeot. Interesting. So, I think the Pidgeot was still a good thing to bring. I don't think Alolan Golem actually did anything for him in this match. We can actually get a nice front shot of Alolan Golem, that wonderful being. But I'm kind of curious because I feel like Pidgeot, Keldeo, and Superior all needed to kind of go a little more aggressive. We're seeing a very defensive play out of New York Ninetales, despite the fact that we figured he had a very aggressive team. But Flygon versus the Quagsire lead this time, so even Earthquake U-turn, he's going to have to U-turn out of there. He cannot risk a burn. He's most likely just going to go in straight into the Amoonguss. And he can't, New York Ninetales really can't play around this because of the way that U-turn works. I mean, he gets to see what he's going to be switching into if he decides, if New York Ninetales decides to switch out. So, let's see what ends up playing. I think Skull is just a safe bet. In this particular situation where you're stuck with switching, you probably just want to go for the status, try and get something done. But, opts to switch to the Kyurem. He is now going to get the U-turn off. In this particular situation, I would expect, honestly, the Gramble to come in. Conkeldurr comes in instead, knows that it gets set up. That's very true. And gets a free Flame Orb boost, which means Mach Punch might kill from that range. Kyurem is fat, but Conkeldurr is buffed. So, could probably even just stand in here, take any move that Kyurem wanted to do, and go for the Drain Punch. So he's going to have to make the switch to probably the Araquanid. I'm actually not too sure about the rules of, like, Flame Orb boosts with Unaware. It's stat changes. I don't know if that actually counts. But he actually ends up going for Toxic. Maybe not realizing that the burn happened, and that's a one-shot. There you go. That's Conkeldurr with a Flame Orb in a nutshell. And even then, if he went for the Toxic and it didn't have the Flame Orb going, he would just be feeding it its Guts boost. But even then, it would be slightly better because he'd be taking more damage. Actually, this buffs Guts with Flame Orb because Flame Orb or burn damage does half of what it used to do in the other generations. So he actually feels a lot safer here to just take less damage over time. So Toxic would hurt a little more, but he still gets the damage bonuses. Golem's got to be careful. He actually ends up setting up the rocks on the bulk up that Conkeldurr easily can do, just because he knows he can heal off of anything that he punches. That Stone Edge is not going to do anything. Return would have been optimal. That Focus Sash on the Golem, though, I don't know. What has he got for this? He actually... I actually think he's got no answer to this Conkeldurr. I think the Pidgeot was the best bet to answer that Conkeldurr, so losing that just means, like, he has no way of getting it in on a Hurricane. He doesn't have to force his hand. Scrubbington just sits out here, bulks up on a Araquanid or bulks up on the Quagsire. Doesn't have to worry about the Quagsire because once he kills it off, he has all those buffs. But Superior's going to try its hand, maybe just go for the Leaf Storm, but instead ends up going for probably the HP Fire. The Drain Punch is going to come through. At this point, he's already lost most of his fast Pokemon. Mitch is just giving it to Scrubbington. The Arizona Articunos looking to have a clean 2-0. I mean, we already have talked about this, but Scrubbington's draft was slightly different from what he wanted, but he definitely got the balance that he wants, and that's exactly how he works. He works with the balance. He works with just making sure he gets Pokemon he's comfortable playing, gets the typing. He's very much a player that I can relate to because I like to play with having an answer to almost everything in my draft or in my team. try and have the type advantage, coverage as much as possible, and he's making it work right now. This PZ Conkeldurr combination has been putting in work throughout the weeks, but I think Hydro Vortex will be a kill. It is on the special side, it looks like, so that will actually take out the Conkeldurr, but, I mean, he's got a PZ, he's got a Porygon, or he's got a Flygon to answer. We'll have to see. I think the Keldeo is Scarfed, but he does get the attack boost, which is unfortunate for him. Obviously, download boosts on the stat that is weaker, and Araquanid's defense is much weaker than its special defense, so T-Bolt comes through. It's a fair amount of damage. Liquidation is going to come through. Holy mother of God. It actually ends up killing him off in one shot. I'm surprised. So that was a physical hit, so Hydro Vortex just having enough damage. But Granbull can now come in, can probably tank it up, gets the Intimidate drop. Didn't expect that much damage to come out of the Liquidation, to be perfectly honest with you. I know Araquanid is not a pushover. PZ's also not very bulky, but the Leech Life ends up coming through. Yet again, doesn't even go for the Liquidation. Doesn't even try to do damage. The damage could have helped, but then he has to deal with the Amoonguss. So GG to Scrubbington. Unless he hits that big X, Arizona Articunos are going to be walking away with a 2-0 this week. In just a moment here. Mitch putting up a fight. Doesn't want to go down without swinging. But you just can't swing enough. Amoonguss is going to tank the hit. No Super Mega Ultra Crit that everybody hopes for when they are trying to win a game. And ladies and gentlemen, Arizona Articuno at 9 points. I really don't know what to say about that match, because there's not much to say. Like, I don't really know, actually, because it's a bit bizarre to analyze. I mean, there were some moves that should have been used, like, you know, Leaf Storm on the Serperior and stuff that could have softened up a little bit more. I mean, now that I think about it, with that Pidgeot on his team, he would have been able to handle both Amoonguss and the Conkeldurr a little bit better, but the Pidgeot would have been the answer to Amoonguss. And if he had that and got a little bit of a better switch in, or even the Kyurem, he would have been able to kind of almost pretty much sweep or clean up with Keldeo, depending on how much damage you get on the rest of the teams. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen. So, unfortunate for the New York Ninetales, but hopefully they find the groove. I mean, the draft itself, we talked about the hyper-aggressive, but I'm very surprised. I don't see hyper-aggression coming out of Mitch. I don't know if that's a playstyle decision. Not that I'm saying he's doing it wrong per se, but we don't see the results, right? I don't know if it's the fact that he wanted to play a more defensive style and ended up going with completely aggressive comp, or he's just not realizing the true potential. Like, this is the Chaos effect, right? We remember Chaos Infinity with his team. The pinnacle of hyper-aggression, right? Somewhat being successful, but somewhat not, right? But the thing was that he went all in with it, and it even worked for the most part. So we'll have to figure out what's going to be going on here, and see what he can do in the future. But I mean, Arizona Articunos, we got to praise him again. Just having this draft, having something that's so comfortable, so balanced, right? The speed is not being punished. You saw him bring the Amoonguss Bronzong combination. It handles the fact that he's not even fast. And he could just tank up the hits, switch to his Pokemon appropriately, and without the Pidgeot living, Conkeldurr runs wild. If not, PZ outspeeds and starts doing a bunch of damage to everything, right? Has the coverage, just takes out the remainder of Mitch's team, and that's what his strategy has generally been. Is there an inherent weakness? I'm waiting for teams that have slightly faster Pokemon and better defensive cores. I think that in order to handle something that the Arizona Articunos have, they need an equal balance, right? So someone like the LA Ledians, or even something along the lines of, who does he even have left to play? Let's take a look at this really quickly, just to kind of scout. We have the LA Ledians and the Houston Hawluchas, both which have arguably very good defensive cores. We also have Ottawa Centrist, which has a pretty good comp, but I think it's a little more aggressive. And then you have W Wellington, which I think also has a good defensive core. And we've seen this time and time again, that defensive cores seem to just reign supreme. People who have the balance, people who have the ability to take hits, get their sweeper in correctly just seems to win. We have not seen hyper-aggression in tops, not go through past at least semifinals, right? Ivan's team was arguably in Season 2 not a hyper-aggressive team. It was an aggressive team, but he still had a good defensive core between Cofagrius and Umbreon, so... Luquin, unfortunately, does not have a sub, Mitchie. I'll have to have a talk with him. I don't know if he's late. I know he was moving into university this week, so that's... Last week he was sick, this week he's moving into university, so I'll have a talk with him. He can't miss another week. If he misses one more week, he is officially out of the tournament. That's how it works. More than 25% non-participation just automatically eliminates you from the tournament, which means you only have one person kicked out of the playoffs. So I will... Unless he finds a permanent replacement like what Mitch did for Star-Lord. But, or Key to Succession could jump in. That could be a thing too, if he wants to take over the team himself. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I meant to go here and check out the next match. Let's have the Galissa Padres versus W. Wellington, world leader versus Ivan. This should be an interesting one. We talked this up a couple weeks ago. It's gimmick on gimmick action, boys. We know the Berry Master Ivan and we know the Meme Master world leader are just going to bring out movesets that could be interesting. However, we've seen Ivan really move into a state of bringing very meta sets that are very... successful for him. Yes. Let's go, Ivan. You're up, man. No one else is available, so you have to be next, unfortunately. Yeah, we haven't seen any success out of World Leader, although we have seen his movesets actually do okay. You know what? I'm not going to hate on the Snorlax set or anything he's been bringing. The bulk up Galissapod has actually been a larger threat than I expected it to be in the couple of weeks that we've seen it go. And... I don't know, it has such a strong comp. Both of them really have good teams. I feel like, as I keep mentioning, if Ivan plays it out standard, he will have the advantage. Just has overall stronger Pokemon that can take a hit and then set up and sweep and go from there, right? Having said that, though, I think if the defensive line falls, stuff like Gengar, Snorlax, Zoroark, Metagross, these things can just go through Wellington, right? I don't know if he can actually take these hits. And the weakness isn't that big on the side of Ivan. But let's, if we take a look at Ivan's team, right? The Ice, Ground, Water weakness is not a big deal because everything's kind of spread out. We said he doesn't have a lot of he has a lot of weaknesses on a team, but in small doses. So, these 4-4-4 line, for example, of weaknesses, that's spread over, 6 or 7 different types. And Galissa Padres are not afraid to bring unique typing of moves on their team. You know, Thunder Punch, Infernape being the most famous thing of World Leader so far. So, or being the Snorlax that almost swept Inner Fury in Game 2 for Marie playing it. So let's take a look to see, is the World Leader going to bring some sets that are actually going to challenge the spread out weaknesses of Ivan, or is Ivan just going to have to play it out standard and is going to just eventually steamroll with the likes of Manaphy, with the likes of Terrakion, because these are Pokemon that are not just pushovers, right? These are very viable Pokemon to just take it over. Oh my god, TSM Galissa Padres, are you kidding me? I'd like to announce the partnership of TSM World Leader 9K with TSM, Team Solo Mid Galissa Padres, the true thugs of the North American competitive scene. Congratulations, World Leader, on your partnership. Do you have any words for the audience before you go into your match about your placement among one of the greatest well-known names in esports history? Go into the PTS, Ivan. Just go into a chat, go /join PTS, and we'll go from there. Of course, thank you very much for all of you showing up tonight. I mean it. Next week, things should get better. It's been a hard time because it's the start of the school year, so everything's getting random. Well, actually, no, they're good at Melee, too. Isn't the Smash player Zero pretty good? Or doesn't he do well? Isn't he doing well in TSM Zero? Isn't he doing well in the Smash scene, Mitch? Or at least does well in the Smash scene? C9 ally. Yeah, in Smash, yeah. But anyways, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and supporting the Pro Pokeball. It's always a special time of the channel every Wednesday night and every time we run a season. And we hope to get more people playing. The more weeks and the more battles, just the more fun that we get to have. PTS, Ivan. Fair enough, Mitch. I believe, aren't the, in CSGO, I forget who's the top there. Not that I care, but... There we go. We're about to get into this match between the Galissa Padres, between the Galissa Padres and W. Wellington in just a moment. Yeah, it's Team Liquid. That's what I was thinking, Mitch. It is Team Liquid. Let's see if we can get a little bit more variety in the actual fights here. I'm really interested to see... Like, I'm always interested to see World Leader play, because he's not just coming up with creative movesets to actually just try and, like, show that he is this guy who builds these weird teams, but he's definitely a guy that pushes the limits and makes you think about the potential movesets that he could be carrying. But we are in the battle. Galissa Padres on the close side, W. Wellington in the far side. Let's get into game number 1 of the second series of the night. World Leader's got a deadly team. That is actually a very aggressive team coming at him. Slowbro Shucklecore here with a little bit of Snorlax at it. He's got quite a bit of blue Pokemon there. I like the Chandelure, Metagross, Gengar. As I mentioned, if he breaks through Donphan and Goodra, this could get pretty out of hand depending on the movesets that he's actually got. But it's going to be TSM Snorlax versus the Donphan. Now, Donphan can pretty much take the hit, but so can Snorlax. If Snorlax wanted to, it could try and go for the cheese knockoff, and instead it actually goes for the knockoff. The curse comes through instead of the belly drum. I was going to say go for a cheese belly drum, try and kill it. Now, of course, if he is running recycle, he cannot recycle it back because it has been knocked off. But he's going to have going for a seed bomb. We don't see the sap sipper on the Goodra, but he does instead try and go for the super effective attack. At this point, Earthquake's going to actually come out, not return, but Dragon Tail does come through, does switch out the Snorlax into the Metagross. SKT New York Ninetales. You can't keep this up, Lukeman? That's fine, man. I know you've been dealing with a few things, so no worries. We'll deal with your team. Donphan is going to switch in. The Earthquake comes through. He's going to do a lot of damage. Now, in my opinion, World Leader should definitely be going for more of the stab moves if he does have them. It's good to go for standard moves that could be hitting things for super effective damage, like the Terrakion or the Nidoking. But yeah, if Key to Succession's here, Luke, if you don't mind, I'll trade your team over to him. He could play for the rest of the season. Hopefully he gets some games in. Just so we keep it going. I mean, we don't have a problem with dropping a team because we still have 7. But if you want to trade your team up, I'll put it up for once. I'll put it up for grabs. Earthquake's going to come through on the Slowbro. It's not going to do much damage. It's usually been a Mega Slowbro. Okay, Lukeman. No big deal, bro. You take care of yourself first. Real life always comes first. It's just an internet tournament. So Slowbro takes up the hit. He can go for the Mega Slowbro. Now, I'm curious if this time he's actually switched to the Regenerator, and if he's actually going to try and abuse that a little bit. But Ivan is going to switch into the Heliolisk. Might have the Dry Skin, but the Ice Beam. Well played, actually, by World Leader. He could have swapped out there to get the Regenerator bonus, but he also predicts that Dry Skin on Heliolisk is probably a thing. So he does get that little bit of damage on the Heliolisk. Let's just drop my face for a quick second to get the leg out of here. Ooh, we're lagging a bit. Come on, team. You can do it. The Volt Switch does come through onto the Shuckle, though. The Shuckle's going to be able to take up a few hits, actually, from Ivan's team. Just have to be careful, because Manaphy could come out now and start setting up a Tail Glow. So World Leader's going to need a quick answer to that. I think he's kind of left... I think he's kind of left himself open to a setup here. No idea, Mitch. It does look pretty spiffy, doesn't it? I've always had issues that my computer sucks, so I can't really... This 20 FPS is the max I could do with my streams, otherwise, like, my computer can't run it, unfortunately. It's a very, very bad computer. Ivan's still deciding whether or not he may want to try and set up on the Shuckle. He might be fearing Toxic, in which case, though, we have seen him run Rain Dance with his Manaphy before, and with the Waterium Z to get the speed boost in the rain on top of hydration, so he's protected from status. I'm kind of curious if he's thinking about going straight into that, which would make the most sense, because he actually can do a fair amount of damage to World Leader's team. And the fact that he has a Mega Slowbro already set up, he can't just keep doing Regenerator Switch. He's going to eventually take down that Mega Slowbro, because even if it's a Combine Slowbro versus Tail Glow Manaphy, Manaphy's going to just like double the speed of the setup. Actually, it's even more than that. It's almost That's triple the speed of a setup that a Slowbro could try and do. It's just going to eventually wear it down even with Stab Surf in the range, so. And again, burns will be washed away by the hydration. So let's see what he's actually going to do. Ivan is pulling out the calculator. He's got to know. That makes me think he's going to go into Terrakion and try and get the one-shot with close combat, or he wants to see what he can do it. He could also go into Terrakion. I think if he has a setup poke, it would make more sense here. But if he wants to go into Terrakion and just try and threaten a kill, he could do that. Maybe bait out the Chandelure on the close combat, go for Earthquake instead. There are a couple of things he could do. In my opinion, when I look at World Leader's team, it's just weak to Tail Glow Manaphy. He doesn't have an answer to this thing being at +3. But we do see the Terrakion come out and said, which is what my suspicion was, knowing that he wants to look up a damage calc. Let's see what this ends up going for. I feel like it might even be just a Stone Edge to be kind of that neutral medium if he is expecting the Chandelure. Plus, this will be super effective against the Shuckle. That might also be what he was trying to read through the damage calc. The Swords Dance actually comes out. Wow. Excuse me, I did not expect that, but okay. Terrakion with the Swords Dance gets the +2. That's actually extremely deadly because it outspeeds everything but the Gengar. If the Gengar has Focus Blast, that could just be the answer right away to this Terrakion. Of course, if it hits. Toxic is nice. He sees there is no Lumberry. So we'll see. The close combat goes through. It does not kill the Shuckle. Don't fuckle with this guy. He doesn't care about your damage. Says, I'm gonna go sticky on you. And that's exactly what the Shuckle does. Gets the Sticky Web up. Now, we've seen this before when Sticky Web's set up with World Leader. He likes to go a little ham with some of his setup pokes. Or just some of his sweeping pokes. Although he doesn't have the Gliscopod on this team, so. Shuckle doing his job, handling this Terrakion, sets up the Sticky Web. There is no... Okay, he has Donphan. There is no spinner on Ivan's team. Hello? Why do people watch me? Metagross comes in. I don't think it can take a +2 Earthquake, but it does. I'm an idiot. Zen Headbutt kills the Terrakion. I was expecting like a Bullet Punch, Meteor Mash. Nah. He goes for the Stab Psychic hit. Takes down that Terrakion. That's the first threat. Donphan knows he has to come out here and get rid of that Sticky Web. I'm kind of curious if this was a bait that World Leader's looking for, or if he didn't actually expect this Rapid Spin to come through. But Ivan's most certainly going for it. Now, Chandelure could be the answer. Does he risk the Earthquake, though? Ivan could predict this because Earthquake would hurt both Metagross and Chandelure. He's not necessarily in a rush, but instead the Meteor Mash is going to come through as he actually sets up the rocks first. I am on the fence about that rock play, because if this was a crit, he was risking... Okay, he has the Wiki Berry, but gets confused. Ooh, he actually has the wrong berry on him, so he actually ends up grabbing the confusion. The Wiki Berry has, if a certain stat is lowered, it does grant confusion, so he kind of messed it up, but luckily breaks out of it, ends up going for the Earthquake. Little lucky there. Ivan choosing the wrong berry. Can't switch that, so now we know if he breaks it into Wiki Berry range, he's going to be dealing with confusion, but that's surprising. It's a little scary for him to actually go for that rocks first. I was kind of thinking he might go even for the spin first since he had enough HP, and then go for the Earthquake. Or the rocks, my bad. But kind of lucks out there with that Wiki Berry. I'm just going to say that. Either way, Ice Beam's going to come through. Does finish off the Donphan. He does not have the Sticky Web up, but he is starting to get some kills. World Leader's actually starting to pick up a little bit of pace in this match. It is 4-4 in game number 1 between Glissopadres and W. Wellington. Heliolisk, instant threat. It's got to go into something to tank it. Snorlax might not do the best job with this, but Volt Switch does very little to it, actually. We have seen Curse. It's not a Salt Vest. We've seen the Figgy Berry actually knocked off this thing. What am I saying? Haha. I think this is Manaphy. I feel like Manaphy could just come in here, set up a Tail Glow. It won't die to anything Snorlax has. I think if he's going to try and sweep, he's got to do it. He's got to set up one of these. Unless he's really worried about... maybe Ivan's waiting for the Gengar to drop, because he knows Gengar can still outspeed his Pokemon, and that might make me suspicious that he doesn't have Waterium Z Rain Dance on his Manaphy again. Because the +1 speed would definitely outspeed unless he expects like a Scarf Gengar, which was one of my favorite sets in 5th gen. On top of Scarf Breloom in 6th gen, that was so much fun. Outsped everything but a Jolly Mega Manectric in the meta. Maybe sad when actually people ran Jolly Mega Manectric in the meta. Anyways. Could go for the Nidoking, just for the kill. I still think, like, maybe I'm thinking overly aggressive here, but he has hurt the Mega Slowbro. Chandelure's not going to do anything. Scarf Chandelure's still not going to have any... Like, Energy Ball's not going to kill Manaphy if it's at full HP. Unless he's suspecting that, again, because he doesn't have the Waterium Z Rain Dance, that he could be taking some damage for Snorlax while setting up a Tail Glow, and then just ends up dying to a Scarf Chandelure. That could be the thing, too. So maybe it isn't the time. I might be thinking a little too aggressive here for Ivan to just go for the win. But he has control. He's hurt quite a bit of the Pokemon on World Leader's side, so... Still anybody's game, but I feel like Ivan does definitely have the upper hand now. Considering that he has handled the Sticky Web perfectly fine, he's gotten rid of the Metagross, and World Leader's team is starting to get a little softened up here by the rocks. That Rapid Spin defog value starting to pay off here. But it is time for Manaphy to come in. So he's not fearing a Scarf Pokemon, he's not fearing extra damage. He might just go, maybe, I don't know, would he go for the kill, or is he... Because what he could do, theoretically, is go for the kill here. Instead, he's just using Z-Rain Dance. Okay, so he goes for it. Seed Bomb comes through. We did see that. So now, here's the thing. He has to kill off Snorlax, because if he keeps taking damage, yes, he will outspeed, but he's taking a bunch of damage. If he doesn't get a kill on any of these Pokemon, Chandelure will die. Gengar might actually die after Rocks, but maybe not Snorlax. He needs to get a Tail Glow up. He's risking a crit Seed Bomb, but it's just so much damage coming out on this. He does end up trying to go for the kill, but it doesn't happen. Ooh, yeah, you know what? My suggestion about the Manaphy was kind of confirmed. Don't do it. I was being a little aggressive with the suggestion, but it's true that, you know, this type of thing happens. He doesn't set up. Slowbro has not been hurt enough, so... Despite this speed boost, they do have the timer on, Tyler. Wellington has worked himself down to 180 seconds. He actually has the Energy Ball on his set. He actually might not even be running Tail Glow. I thought he's just running the 2-move coverage. But, let's see. Hey, Gengar's got to be Scarfed or he's going to die to a Surf. I'm completely mistaken about this moveset. The crit comes through! I didn't expect the Energy Ball. But he's going to give up, ladies and gentlemen. Ivan taking game 1. Boop. Well, that's good knowledge for the future. Well. Ivan bringing tricks of his own. But, I mean, Energy Ball is not uncommon, per se, because I think it's Singus Grass. I can't remember, but... Energy Ball makes me a fool thinking that he's just going to try and go for Surf Spam, but in fact, he does actually have the coverage for the Slowbro. Does get the speed up, though, so we were correct in saying that if he gets that speed going, he can just win. Don't think the crit on that Gengar necessarily mattered. But we now can confirm that World Leader did not have a Scarfer, per se, on that team. So... what changes? I actually think I liked World Leader's idea there. I like what he did with it. I mean, now that we know that Donphan kind of messed up with the Wiki Berry, and now it's going to be getting confusion when it gets worn down, it could be a bit scary for Ivan if he does end up hitting himself confusion, that Sticky Web happens again, because being slowed down like that would have actually potentially meant the game, because Gengar would have outsped Manaphy in the rain, since it would have only been normal speed. So, Gengar, well, that's what I was saying. He had to clear that out for the Terrakion. So, I mean, Terrakion did not get the kill on the Metagross, which is another thing that Ivan has to keep in mind. So, Gengar seems to be the trump card that he can use to try and take game 2. And what can Ivan answer with? He has the Helix with the normal type, but this might have to be a Florge grab. I think Florge will definitely be a Pokemon. Of course, keeping the Goodra healthier too would have helped a lot against the Gengar. I don't know. Glissa Padres, did they have anything necessarily? They had Metagross. Maybe that's why I didn't bring Florge. He brought the, what's it called? He brought the Goodra instead. So that seems to be a little bit better answer. He can handle an Ice Punch versus a Stab Meteor Mash on the floor. So maybe Ivan's team is sufficient. He just has to be more and more careful about what happens with this. Well, I mean, again, that Donphan with the Wiki Berry is the big deal here, right? If that happens again, he gets the Sticky Web up. World Leader has more Pokemon that can outspeed and sweep than just relying on the Gengar to play cleanup duty. So, will he get stuck with that? Will it just be an error of battles? We'll have to see. But as it stands, World Leader put up a good fight. It definitely was a good fight. What can they bring out in game number 2? I think World Leader does have to answer that a little bit better. But I also liked his team. And again, going with that, I feel like so far, if he's played a Pokemon very poorly, I guess, I kind of got to go a little rough here, it is the Mega Slowbro. I don't think he's used it to its full effectiveness. Mega Slowbro is definitely a Calm Mind user, and definitely has great abuse with not being Mega'd up right away with the Regenerator, if he is carrying Regenerator. It's just so powerful to constantly come in and out, switch, get the health back, and then Mega up when you feel like you could set up and start sweeping. That's what made Mega Slowbro so strong, and if anyone doesn't have an answer to it, it's super oppressive, and Shell Armor makes it almost impossible for you to try and hacks it out through special means. You have to go through a physical attack that's actually going to do damage with it. So I think, if anything, if World Leader wants to take something away from these first 3 weeks, it's definitely unlock the potential of that Mega Slowbro. He had an idea going there, try to get stuff going with it, but fortunately didn't happen. Lukeman98, a fellow nooblet, thank you very much for the sub, sir. Enjoy my face on the internet. Appreciate the support, friend. Just to let you guys know about a couple of things coming up. Cheers for Charity will be starting today, actually. We're going until September 19th. You can donate bits to myself or to any channel with the hashtag charity, and for every 1,000 bits donated to people's channels, $2 will be met with Twitch's donation, and the subs and all of the bits still go towards me. So Twitch will match the donations, and you still benefit the broadcast. The other thing is September has been a little delayed, but basically from September to October, you will have the opportunity to sub at half off as first-time subscribers. I believe it starts a little bit later, Mitch. They said they delayed it, but I can't see because I can't check my own subscriptions. So, but I do appreciate the support, friend. Don't worry about feeling bad. It happens. We've had multiple people drop out before to real-life things. These things just happen. You can't help it. Do not feel bad, but I do appreciate the support regardless. Ladies and gentlemen, I see a game number 2. I see... Oh, I thought, like, Donphan grew a second tail, but... No, it's supposed to go all the way to October, Mitch. It's supposed to be a longer... Oh, I paid $250. Oh, so it started today, then. It started a little bit later than I expected, but it goes all the way till October 2nd. And we get 100% of the profit. Regardless, let's see. We see the Zoroark, and we see the... Ooh, wow. We see a big change on the Glissopadre side. We see Gliscor, Gigalith, and Zoroark coming in. So, trading up... Arguably one of the Pokemon that kind of handles stuff, but U-Turn on... U-Turn and... Volt Switch? Ooh, okay. So I feel like this Heliolisk is scarfed as a result of that. Damn you, face of mine, being too beautiful for the internet. Yeah, Mitch, it's all month. And I mean, Twitch Prime users get it for free anyways, so... Only if you're a first-time sub, but either way. That's a thing. So he's carrying both U-Turn and Volt Switch. I kind of like this. That's going to be good against the Gliscor at least, but... I have seen people sub out Volt Switch for U-Turn. Most of the time, though, you're going to just go for the stab Volt Switch and try and play around the best you can. So, yeah. Either way, though, he has gone for the U-Turn. Let's see what he's going to go into. He does have to handle this. The sand is up. I'm kind of curious to see if the sand is going to be merely for adding damage, or if it's going to... Oh! It's really to bring Gigalith to counter Z Rain Dance. Just to take out the rain, try to give some chip damage to the Manaphy? I wonder if that's a thing. It's not going to get rid of the speed boost it gets from the Z move, but it will get rid of the rain, which means he could maybe status it, but I don't know if he necessarily has to go that route. I feel like he just should kill the Manaphy, right? He killed the Terrakion perfectly fine last time. He could do it again, but except he doesn't have the Metagross to tank up the hit and then threaten with the Meteor Mash one-shot. So... Or in his case, Zen Headbutt. But either way... Gliscor is a good answer to the Terrakion. If this is an HP Ice Terrakion, which is what people actually used to run, I believe, in 5th Gen, Diego? I think, weren't you the one that was trying out, or was it Rich? I can't remember. Someone was trying out HP Ice Terrakion, and it had a little bit of effect for a while. Just to handle Gliscors that would come in and kind of wall it for the most part. Stealth Rock is going to come out on TSM Gliscor. He is going to get the Poison Heal up. So now, bringing in the thing that's going to answer the physical threats. Let's see what he could do. Terrakion's not going to be able to do anything against this, so he is kind of... World Leader's actually forcing Ivan's hand here to kind of answer this Gliscor first and foremost, if he wants Terrakion or even Donphan to do anything in this game. Still has the Sticky Web threat on the side of the Glissopadres. What is he going to do? Goes actually into the Goodra. The knockoff comes through, which is going to knock off the Chesto Berry. Rest set confirmed, actually. It's not rest talk. It's most likely just rest 3 attacks, potentially. But that's going to be knocked off. Fling actually flings the Toxic... Oh my god, he went Fling, but unfortunately World Leader's going to eat an Ice Beam. However, gets the Fling on the Goodra. Oh my god. Gets the status. That's going to help him take that thing out, because that is one of the fat Pokemon that did stop. That was something we were talking about, like Gengar couldn't handle much, and even now Zoroark's not going to be able to handle it. But this thing is slowly going to get worn down. Unless he's carrying Power Whip or Energy Ball on his Goodra, which I wouldn't put it past on Ivan. This thing could be a problem for it. He could do a lot of damage with Dragon Pulse. If he does have the Grass move clear to go for it. I mean, it's good coverage anyways for the Goodra. But, knowing that he has Rest, I wonder what type of coverage he is actually carrying. He doesn't go 4 moves with Assault Vest. He does have Rest 3 moves. So... But that Fling's really going to weaken it. Actually, as it going for the Earthquake, doesn't do anything, as the Earthquake does actually bring it down to the point where Poison plus Sandstorm will take it out. So that specially defensive threat is actually managed. That was a Fling Acrobatics set, World Leader. You are an absolute monster. I love that set. That's so cool. Anyways. Regardless, gets the job done. Takes down the specially defensive Pokemon. So now Gengar and Zoroark looking a little happier about trying to win this game for World Leader. He needs to get those points if he wants to even stand a chance at getting into top 6. Ivan running out of time, down to 150 seconds. Ends up going into the Heliolisk. Knows they could probably just maybe go for T-Bolt here, kill from this range. But you got to remember, the Sandstorm is up. Special defense is boosted. Earthquake's going to hurt if not kill. But he has the Grass Knot instead, but it doesn't kill. No, but World Leader goes for the Toxic instead of the Earthquake. Maybe a bit of an over-prediction, but, you know, for next time, did give him that way in, but doesn't end up getting the kill. But it also confirms here that we do not see Scarf. Instead, we see him switching up, so we don't know what he's actually running on Heliolisk. But Snorlax somewhat safer to come in now. That was a big... If Helios died there, that would have been a huge momentum swing for World Leader. But unfortunately, it doesn't. It'll just leave with this poison damage. Say, thank you, ma'am. Literally, because Snorlax is a female. And he's going to Volt Switch most likely into maybe the Terrakion, because the Gliscor has been handled. So now that he's lost that, he knows there's no Metagross to handle either. So Terrakion much more threatening in this game than it was in the last. Especially now that the threat has been eliminated. What is he going to do? I think Terrakion just makes the most sense here. Donphan's not going to do much. He has to prevent it. So, I mean, now, if he goes for Seed Bomb predicting, or even Earthquake, I mean, Earthquake's going to hurt Terrakion. That might be what Ivan is thinking. He's thinking that maybe the Earthquake's just going to do too much damage. He wants to try and set up. I mean, Close Combat should kill the Snorlax from there. I don't know what's been going on with the damage calculations, but Terrakion is coming in. The Curselax! Setting up once again, says, punch me, bro. Punch this gut. It's filled with Heineken. I don't actually know if that's a good beer or not, but a lot of people talk about Heineken. I'm just going to say Heineken. Sponsored by Heineken. But either way, he has gone for the +1. That defense might help him live, because we do know it's a Swords Dance Terrakion. Did we see Life Orb on it before? I don't think so. We didn't actually see what item had, did we? Either way, though, I've been running out of time. He's got to start making a little bit of decisions to gain the time he needs to get back into this game, get a little more thinking time. He actually ends up just setting up the Swords Dance, knowing maybe damage is not going to come through. The Earthquake is not enough. Unfortunate for that Snorlax. Not getting the kill. This Snorlax has been World Leader's MVP along with Golisopod. Those two Pokemon have just put immense pressure on almost every opponent he's faced in this tournament so far. But the Close Combat, well played by World Leader. Getting that off, he knows he's faster now, so he instantly gets the kill or at least a kill of pressure on Terrakion. Quick Attack's not going to do anything to this thing. TSM Gengar. Shown up big in this match. Unfortunate, though, for Ivan. He kind of was forced, but it's going to be a Z move all out. Oh, my dear God. Okay. Okay. I don't know if that's the right time to use it, but when is the right time to use that? He's not going to have to use it on anything else. Maybe on the Heliolisk. But, yeah. Shadow Ball's going to come through and do a lot of damage to Nidoking. Nidoking just goes for the Earth Power. Knows that, by the way, Cursed Body is now Gengar's ability instead of the Levitate. Maybe World Leader forgot about that, or maybe just wanted to get as much damage as possible. Either way, Earth Power is disabled now due to Cursed Body. Thank you very much, sir. Snorlax is going to come back in. Oh. That's not Snorlax, ladies and gentlemen. That's our big boy Zoroark playing Peekaboo. I daze you. Oh, you're supposed to time it with that, World Leader. You ruined my Night Daze joke. That's okay. But this is the Zoroark. Dark Pulse comes through. I mean, Snorlax learns Dark Pulse. Who's questioning? He just jumps in the air and jumps into a black hole and makes it explode. It makes perfect sense for TSM Snorlax. He'll find a way. It's not spoiling it, Marie. It's common knowledge. I mean, if you see a Shuckle take normal damage, it's already known. We already know that Snorlax is hurt. It is not a secret. If you watched the battles and didn't just listen to my wonderful voice, Marie, you would know. Anyways, so... What does World Leader... Okay, so Ivan's running out of steam here. If Manaphy takes too much damage... oh, wait, you know what? Zoroark is out right now. This is not the Snorlax. How much is Snorlax at? It says it's the active, but we know it's a Zoroark. But either way, if Snorlax doesn't have enough HP, Manaphy can still sweep this here. That's a lot of damage coming out from this. I expect Ivan to go into the Dawn Fan. The reason being, you don't want Manaphy to take any damage from the Zoroark. This Zoroark is the reason that Manaphy would be damaged. And I definitely get it right there. Dark Pulse does so much damage. But knowing that... that's gone. So now... Zoroark does not... Oh, oh my god. It's base 105 speed. I thought it was 95 speed. This could hurt. Oh, dear god. So Heliolisk has to come back in and do as much damage as possible with this. World Leader needs to preserve this. This is his answer to the Manaphy. Instead, he opts to sack it off. However, this is not too bad because now the Manaphy comes in stock. The Snorlax is at 26%. I think Manaphy just cleans this up, unfortunately. Although Shuckle has something more to say about it. Hydration is a thing, so Status is not going to handle this. Ivan's got to show what this Manaphy has. Surf actually should just kill if he actually ends up going for this Rain Dance. Ends up going for the Hydro Vortex instead of the Rain Dance. And what looked to be the Galissa Padres win turns out to be not killing that Heliolisk. Could have meant potentially the game for this as he actually tail glows in his face. The C-Bomb comes through. Does a decent amount of damage to the Manaphy. But ladies and gentlemen, in a 2-0 fashion, soon, maybe not. Hold on a second. Gets a crit? Doesn't. Unfortunate. Forward Leader. Actually, how much did that do? We don't know yet. Actually, Surf. Wait a minute. Oh, so close. If that Heliolisk had died earlier, this would have been World Leader's game. That's so painful to know. World Leader actually had this match. That's unfortunate. Unlucky. Toxic play on this rather than Earthquake. But that will be 2-0 going over to W. Wellington. Unless for some reason he clicks the X button. That is indeed a feels bad man. But let's see what he's got. Either way, we'll let him finish. Gone. GG. It's heartbreaking, really. I gotta be honest with you. It's truly heartbreaking to see that Wellington could have lost that match. Seeing the Galissa Padres actually have such a good such a good game for themselves, but that not clicking that earthquake on the Gigalith really just took the game away, right? Heliolisk is not dead. Just goes from there. I see later. Oh dear. But yeah, I mean, that second match went much better for World Leader. I was a little skeptical about switching out the Metagross, but clearly I was wrong. He knew the damage calcs and what he could do. And, or if he didn't know the damage calcs, he got extremely freaking lucky to the fact that he didn't get everything one-shot. And I mean, let's talk about the Galissa Padres first and foremost. That Terrakion had next to no chance. It was just handled very, very well Game 1 and Game 2. Ivan did not stand a chance to sweep with that. Manaphy became the backup sweeper. The Heliolisk actually ended up paying off being what Ivan needed to get those good switches every turn. But Terrakion handled effectively. Manaphy arguably handled effectively if the rest of the team had stayed alive. Ivan did end up chipping down most of World Leader's team and just really, forced him to have to constantly get in this awkward situation where something's going to take damage, and it just so happens to have the coverage move, like I mentioned, that's going to hurt the main sweepers on the side of W. Wellington. So, well played to Ivan. Definitely set up at the right time, went aggressive at the right time. Wikiberry, a bit of a misplay, could have cost him if he did have to hit himself in confusion. Even if he had lost that Sticky Web, arguably, again, if Gengar was that key, right? Gengar handled the Terrakion. It would have had the speed to handle the Manaphy, or at least do enough damage to it. World Leader, you can check it at the bottom. You can check it at the bottom of the channel. You can just access the trade pool from there. But yeah, it's just it's heart-wrenching to see that should have been, if knowing how much he could take that damage on the Snorlax with the Figgy Berry, which kind of slipped my mind. That should have been his game, but it wasn't. In the end, that is not the result that popped out. And that's going to be end up going from there. That's going to be 2-0. So let's take a look, actually, at the scores thus far that's going on in Pro Pokeball Season 3. After 2 series tonight, Arizona Articuno sitting at the top with 9 points, with W. Wellington at 7. We'll see if the LA Legends can join the Arizona Articunos. Actually, funnily enough, there's 3 ways that this can go. Based on the Houston Hawluchas, if LA Legends get 2-0'd, Houston Hawluchas tie for second and LA Legends drop to 4th place, although having a really large lead for themselves over anyone near the bottom. And on top of that, even if it's a 1-1, LA Legends join second. It's a 2-0 for LA Legends. It goes into tie first. So, pretty good hold so far for the side of LA Legends. Again, getting those early points really matters, but this is starting to get interesting. These numbers, just 1-1s always make the tournament interesting because of the 3 points versus the 1 point win. So, it does make the numbers kind of awkward and really kind of forces players to try and look for that 2-0, which can play on people's minds when they're team building. Trades are same tier or lower, World Leader. Yes. But we'll have to see if the Ottawa Senators does end up getting a coach, which we will talk to one guy in particular to give it to him. And Marie was going to be playing tonight. Hey, literally all Marie has to do is get a game off of the New York Nidoran males, and suddenly the Ottawa Senators still stand a chance at being in top 6. Because if the New York Ninetales end up dropping matches and the Ottawa Senators coach or subs or whatever happens starts taking more points, it's putting the pressure on Mitch to get him. You might, Marie. You almost did on Rich, right? You almost did on Rich. Mitchie might be slightly different. Who knows? You literally scared the crap out of Rich with that Snorlax build, so thanks, World Leader. You're the definition of inconsistency. Lukeman, when you're done, can you please send me your paste me? I also need all the paste me's from the rest of the people. If you're going to let me know where you're going from, just go from there and let me know. But we are going to take a... Oh, dear God. Yeah, don't reveal that on stream. That's pretty bad. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. When we come back, we will complete the last 2 series of the night. The LA Legends versus the Houston Hawluchas, and the New York Nidoran males versus the Ottawa Senators. You are watching the Pro Pokeball Season 3, Week 3. Be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your patience. My family offered me Tiny Tom donuts. This thing, if you've never had Tiny Tom donuts, you are missing... Oh god, I broke everything. You are missing something fantastic. Look, it glows off the freaking thing. It's tiny, but it's wonderful. Tom is a wonderful person. Either way, let's get back to the matches. The third match that's going to be happening tonight is going to be the sub for the Ottawa Centrets versus the New York Nidoran males. We haven't seen much success out of... Actually, we haven't seen Lukeman very much at all, really. We haven't seen him battle quite a bit. So we're going to see Marie playing again. And based on what we saw from week 1, it wasn't that bad, right? She might say she's not that good. But we saw her almost take down Rich in Game 2, right? So we'll have to see what she can do with tonight's team. We can't really analyze this too much because we know that Mitchie is generally going to be bringing this good team. All we keep saying is whatever he's drafted, he's definitely doing better for himself this tournament, right? He's got more serious Pokemon. He's got a lot better he's got a lot more synergy, more type advantages, just better things to play around with. So I suspect that this could potentially steamroll through. We'll have to see. Oh, really hard. Ow. Tiny Tom donuts. Oh god. ProPokeBowl might or might not be choking on sugar. Marie, Mitchie, entertain me. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 between Ottawa Centred Submarine X Lupin on the close side. New York Nidoran boys on the far side. Nidoran males. We're going to see a Staraptor versus the Blizz. So let's take a look at the comps really quickly. Very cool little comp action coming out of Lupin here. Brightbird goes straight through, does a lot of damage to himself. The Stealth Rock's actually set up by the Ottawa Centreds. Not too bad considering how much damage was actually done to that Staraptor. Obviously, recall damage is going to be much higher on a Pokemon that has a lot of HP, and since Staraptor didn't really get the kill on it, well, I also can see that Staraptor's wing is not doing very well in the animation section. But that's not the stream, by the way. That's actually Showdown. I don't know what's going on. Dead pixels on Showdown confirmed. River goes through. That's a lot of damage, actually. Now, funnily enough, this thing should die to rocks as it switches into a wish. So I don't know if he necessarily expected that he could bring this thing in later and try and heal it up, but that's not happening. This Staraptor's in to kill as much as possible at this point. This is a suicide lead aggressive play. Sneasel comes in, not going to be faster, but can go for the Ice Shard and take out the Staraptor. Looking at the side of Marie X Lupin, like, the Blissey's gone, which means the Togekiss is really the only other fat Pokemon on the team, so our defensive side is not going to be doing very well. The Ice Shard does take out the Staraptor. Gets the good advantage. Mega Manectric seems to have a lot of fun here. Registeel is going to be coming out first. Stealth Rocks makes the most sense. Low Kick is not going to kill the Registeel at any point. It shouldn't, anyways. They just make up... They have fun making these weird names, Lukeman. Don't worry about it. But anyway, Stealth Rock does come through. Now, Marie actually does end up getting in the Noivern before the Stealth Rock. So this thing's going to stay a little healthy. Can go for a free shot as Alomo is going to try and tank a hit. Flamethrower comes through. Is not going to do a lot of damage at all, but it is a Life Orb one. Draco Meteor from this Noivern could really, really, really hurt. It is Life Orb. It's not the worst thing either. And I don't even know. That miss. That miss on the Draco. Hurts, man. That's a lot of damage. Like I said, that does a lot of damage. But unfortunately, Wish Protect, because on that turn with the Toxic, could have actually threatened this Alomomola to switch out and have to take a -2 Draco. But still, the fact that it just gets the heal like that for free off of that miss just sucks for Marie. But either way. It's... Lukeman, it's literally moves to get in the head. Oh! Okay. Marie learning from twitch.tv/inertfury. Roosting on the Protect. Very nice. That's going to come through. Not going to be doing that much damage. At this point, she is not going to be able to get anything done with this. But definitely making a good play to try and preserve this Noivern. Although the toxic damage is starting to rack up. So as much as the idea is good at heart, this thing is starting to take a little too much damage. Oh, I see, Lupin. Got it. It's hard to understand sarcasm in text. Just like why Diego and Mitchie both use these names. I'll never understand their minds. Regardless, though, Noivern is taken down to a respectable amount where Stealth Rocks plus the poison's eventually just going to take toll, plus Life Orb. So either she ends up going for a Roost here, which makes the most sense. She's going to take a lot of poison damage, which means at this point it makes the most sense to take it out because it'll still come in at a respectable amount, could still drop some hits. She could try and threaten with something like the Togekiss, is probably the best bet, to be honest, or if Zelf has anything to try and do to this Alomomola status-wise. At this point, I think she just needs to preserve the Noivern. Noivern actually has a decent time against the rest of Mitchie's team, so not the best time, but it can still drop some pain if the Alomomola ever gets handled. I think the Alomomola, this team does not have anything for the Alomomola per se, so we shall see. The Azelf does end up coming in, though. The Skull comes through. What the hell? That's not a Sneasel. That's a Blissey, yes. Blissey actually would handle Alomomola quite well, however. Skull's not going to burn. The Protect comes through as the explosion. Oh, no! There's guts all over the screen as a Zelf explodes on a Protect. That ain't good. Now Togekiss comes in. The other answer to Alomomola. Ouch. I agree. That is a hashtag I tried. I tried to explode a giant love disc. It didn't work. Now let's see what Togekiss can do. Registeel is going to come in. Might just be going for the Toxic. The Air Slash comes through. If Marie successfully hacks this thing to death, like just keep getting the flinches, it could last forever. We could very well see this. It would be a 10% hack through nonstop. T-Wave actually comes through instead, so she's looking for that pair of flinch hacks. Ooh, that Iron Head does not actually do as much as you'd think it would. Considering that Registeel, I think, has base 75 attack or something like that, and Togekiss does not have the greatest defense. But she does have the para flinch going here, so let's see if she actually gets any of this hacks. He actually breaks through both. That's incredible. But she's gonna go for it. She's gonna go for the air slash para hacks, the para flinching nonstop, but instead actually ends up going for the Roost. Iron Head going through here. Theoretically, she actually can heal up completely for the most part, as long as no crits happen, and that's going to be Caster's Curse, and the crit's going to come through right about now. Oh, Toxic comes out instead. That makes more sense. So now this thing can't keep doing the strats. And believe it or not, actually, well, Lupin's given her 5 Pokemon weak to rocks. 4 Pokemon weak to rocks. This Alpha's not weak to rocks, but that's going to be painful. Either way, she's just going to go for as much annoyance as possible. It's not working, though. What happened to Serene Grace? Apparently Togekiss is more about that ruthless oppression rather than Serene Grace, so not going to be getting any work done here. She's going to roost up as much as possible. Let's try and get this thing. Unfortunately, actually lasting this long just allows the Registeel to stay healthier. So, arguably, it'd make more sense if you're going to sack it off and just keep going for the attack. Just for those of you looking to improve your game. Protect comes through. Flamethrower drops. Alomomola can just easily come back in. Can tank a couple of hits up. Considering that's at full health, actually we saw how much it is, about 60% if she goes for the Draco Meteor on the prediction here. Instead she does not, she takes the damage though. Life Orb plus Tox is going to start racking up. She's going to have to either Roost again. Hopefully she Roosts. He actually goes for the double Protect. Cheeky little boy, but she does end up going for the Roost. Well played by Marie yet again. She's definitely playing the recovery game well on the moves that she should be doing it on. So definitely showing a little bit of knowledge here at least when it comes to, proper play. Volcarona ends up coming in, though. Oh, God. Is she going straight for the Quiver Dance? Is she just going to go for it? I would love it if she just straight goes for it and just tries to take this out. The Dragalge has to come in. It tanks all of the stab that Volcarona can bring. Actually, it tanks all the moves that a normal Volcarona build would bring. So Giga Drain's not going to do anything at all. There's too much movement on the screen. My stream is dying. Anyways. Dragalge can tank the Fire Blast, the Bug Buzz, and the Giga Drain, so it's not going to be able to do anything. Sludge Wave, ooh, that hurts, man. And if this thing is Assault Vest, literally Volcarona has 0 value. Registeel ends up coming out as probably the Draco's dropping. Oh, she goes for the Hurricane and misses anyways. That just puts another dampener on the match. But either way, Mitch looking extremely healthy. Has everything. Lukeman likes poop? The fuck? Why? Hey, Golden Cup, how you doing, man? Either way, though, Volcarona brought down to its very last limbs. And yep, that's going to be game one going over New York Nidoran males. As apparently Mitch likes girls. Although, she's going to heal up quite well going for that Giga Drain. So well played by Marie, saying, shut up, Mitch. I'm going to take a couple of Pokemon before I go down with this. As the Dragalge basically shows that no matter what you're going to run on the Volcarona set, unless you're running something like HP Ice, which you have to pretty much figure out if you could, Inferno Overdrive, just nothing. Oh my god. Yeah, that Black Sludge, that Dragalge was kind of something on the radar, clear that Mitch thought about, and brings out the Draco Meteor. Shows off the movesets a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, game one going over to New York Nidoran males. That was a pretty Banff play, Marie, just saying. Please give me the match. Please. Uh-oh. Don't break, don't break, don't break, don't break, don't break. Uh-oh, I think the upload broke. No. I hate when this happens. Oh, it worked. Okay, thank God. When the upload doesn't go through, it just sucks because I have to go fish it out. And it's not the most pleasant experience. I mean, what more is there to say, really? All we could say is, hopefully maybe Lukeman could give some advice to Marie about choosing different Pokemon. I really do think that Dragalge needs an answer, because it definitely looks like if she can't kill off the Dragalge, that Volcarona has no purpose on the team, right? Now, looking at the team of Lukeman, I don't think he actually has an answer to it. It doesn't matter, though, because we're getting right back into game number 2. Marie says, I want blood, and blood I shall have. So we shall give. Oh, God, we're in. We're in. Game number 2 with the Mirror B music. Man, how great is that? A Zelf versus Mitch is hot. Mitch, take that as a great compliment, sir. As that knockoff actually comes through, knocks off the White Herb with the... Oh, that sucks for Mitchie. He's going to have to keep those defense drops, though, as the Zelf actually gets the crit knockoff on the Crustle. Now, Crustle could actually have some fun here. It does. Actually, believe it or not, it carries the stab that can sweep. Oh, my God. That actually sweeps everything but Blissey. That's incredible. What? Definitely Mitchie bringing out the Pokemon that are really exploiting Lukeman's draft, so... Either way, X-Scissors is going to come through. That does so much damage to the Blissey, though, and Blissey's going to be outsped by this Crustle and just taken out. At which point, Crustle can just straight up sweep, as actually Nidoran males actually end up bringing the other Pokemon. Now, the funny thing about this is, you could consider this BM or just showing off and stuff like this. However, it does make it difficult for people to use stats or just track Mitch in terms of what he's going to be doing in future weeks. However, at the same time, you can see the ideas that Mitchie's coming up with, so... He can certainly recognize when he could just set up and sweep, so this could just be a really, really quick finish from Mitchie, as he's just looking to literally finish off everything. It doesn't look like that. She might just go for the explosion. She does, and it kills off the Crustle. Now that is a Banff moment, ladies and gentlemen. I need PogChamps for Marie just taking the life of a giant crab with some sediment on its back. That's a nice exploding bug all over the place. Mitch gets Chicks versus the Togekiss, the fairy chick. Don't know what else she could do. I don't know what else Marie can do here. The best thing that the Ottawa Centrist can do at this point is just try and take as many Pokemon as possible. The Noivern is still alive. I just think there are too many fast Pokemon, too many Pokemon that could take a hit that's just not going to get anything done. She does end up going for the Thunder Wave here. Well played by Marie. She is going to be able to try and get some pair-up flinching going on here with the Darmanitan. She instead opts for the Roost. Ballsy, because she could have flinched it, but actually, oddly enough, might be a slightly smarter, because depending on the damage of Air Slash, she's trying to get more damage off by healing up, which means more recoil damage for the Darmanitan. Either way, Noivern is here. It's going to try and do as much damage as possible. It does have the Life Orb. It can do a fair amount of damage to everybody. If she actually can use moves that are not Draco Meteor, like Hurricane on this Pokemon, Flamethrower on the Roserade, it could do so much, right? She would have to get a lot of crits with Draco after she starts getting special attack drops. But the Hurricane misses, Flare Blitz comes right through, brings it down low enough, and unfortunately it's not going to be able to do anything, but she does end up going for the Roost, which means Flare Blitz still going to hit. Darmanitan's actually killing itself on the Noivern, which Marie is just going to get. So that thing's down, but that actually works out in Mitch's favor because now he can send the Pokemon fresh, and Noivern only gets 3 attacks off. So if there's a Pokemon that goes in, like, let's say, Mandibuzz, who's not going to get one-shot by a move, it forces her to Roost, which means that Mandibuzz could probably do some type of status, can also go Foul Play, things like this. So, Mitch better than Diego confirmed by a Vulture. That's kind of sad. But it is going to come in. It makes the most sense. The Sneasel's actually going to come out now as Tailwind is set up. Ooh, interesting. So now Noivern's not even going to be able to have the opportunity to outspeed. She doesn't go for the Ice Shard. Knockoff does come through. Knocks off the Choice Band. Oh, this is nice. So this actually fixes the, not the mistake, but the more optimized thing, which would be Icicle Crash on the Mandibuzz. As actual Icicle Crash comes down now. Could be doing a lot of damage. Actually, this would waste the Tailwind as well if she gets the... Oh, man. Okay, well... If she had gone for Icicle Crash there, she would have actually stopped the Tailwind setup. Oh, there's so many things, man. God, it's painful. Marie, you hurt. You could have actually stopped the Tailwind, but regardless. It's still difficult for Noivern to try and sweep without a bunch of crits and being able to take it out while healing up. But just small things. Marie, you're not actually doing the worst thing here. You're not doing the worst. It's like Marie would be a legit contender. But Noivern's gonna come in. Can it kill 3 Pokemon off? Nope, this thing's scarfed. GG. Unfortunate for the sub. Nidoran Male's walking away with 3 points this week. Where are we here? Well, it's truly unfortunate. Unfortunately, Luke Min is going to have to drop out, which is no big deal at all. But it is unfortunate that, again, it could have been a little bit more of a fight there. But let's take a look at the standings after this. This makes no... Oh, yeah, right here. Now, let's start analyzing some of these points before we actually get to the final match of the night, which is the LA Legends versus the Houston Hawluchas. See, Marie? That's the best way to put it. The ice thing. Marie, that's the way that I deal with, like, power tools. I'm like, I use the thing that smacks really hard. A hammer? No, it was a type of hammer. I don't know, it had, like, a flat side to it. That's my approach to mechanics. So let's take a look at the points right now. Arizona Articuno is still sitting at the top. New York Nidoran Male sitting in 4th place, tied with the Houston Hawluchas at 4 points. Now, here comes the scary thing. It actually really comes down to how well Rich plays tonight. Diego is guaranteed 3rd or 4th seed after tonight. As long as... Well, actually, he's guaranteed at least 2nd seed if he can 1-1. If he 2-0s the Houston Hawluchas, Sweet D will move himself up to tie with 1st place with the Arizona Articunos, in which case they'll have to break their tie next week unless they go 1-1, which would be kind of boring when you think about it. But, you know, one really wants to take over because 1st seed really does get the better end of the deal. But regardless, if the Houston Hawluchas actually do get 2-0'd, that would tie him at 4th seed with the New York Nidoran Males, which is not a good place to be in if you want to take the top 2, because the top 2 gets a free bye through the quarterfinals. Thanks, Liz. So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm really, really, really excited for this match between them. I mean, I can't really talk much about that match other than Mitch. I like what Mitch brought. He's definitely reading what's going to sweep the teams. I'm excited to see him in future weeks against other teams that he is going to be playing up against. All right, the big deal here. The biggest deal of the night, because this really does impact the standings. We talked about it last week how Rich, Inert Fury, has the team comp that he knows how to play comfortably. We've seen him bring out these crazy movesets that are working well. He is actually epitomizing, like Sweet D, how to put in tech attacks, or tech abilities, tech items, to handle a specific team. This is very good during the regular season, and because we haven't seen Inert Fury during a playoffs yet, where he has to keep one team through both the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals if he actually ever goes that far, we haven't seen whether or not he's going to be able to do it. Sweetie, arguably so far the best at coming up with a comp that they can hide the most, win with the least amount that they need, and just be able to handle themselves in every situation, right? There's a lot of thought that goes through Sweet D's teams. Diego just has a fantastic understanding of how much he has to exactly use in order for that, and many people haven't been able to make him budge. So this is the opportunity for Inert Fury to come in as a guy that, you know, he used to play, he might not be practiced up against, and, you know, Rich has been playing through a lot of 7th Gen too. Can he take the games off of the LA Ledians? Facts for you. In 2 seasons, this being the 3rd season, by the end of the regular season, Diego's teams have never been 2-0'd. He has gone 1-1, but he has never lost a series without at least a win. Give him 5. No big deal, Diego. And that's exactly what I was going to be touching on, Mitchie. I'm sure you guys are going to be like, he doesn't actually know that. But it's true, we talked about that, we did talk about that a couple of weeks ago. Rich has his comfort, Diego has his comfort. It's almost like, it almost doesn't matter what Pokemon they bring, because they're going to have the movesets, and they're going to have the ideas of how each other play, what each other want to do with their comps. I would argue that the Houston Hawluchas can break away from the textbook a little bit better than the LA Ledians. But I also feel like the LA Ledians can adapt in more situations than the Houston Hawluchas. We often see that the Hawluchas so far in the past 2 weeks have kind of tripped up a bit. The biggest example being the Snorlax, but just kind of tripping up, even going to 4 points, right? It wasn't 2-0s for him. It was a 1-1. Being on, I'm going to get this right. Who did he get 1-1 by? It was New York Ninetales, right? He made that crucial mistake in round 2 there, where he just gave the game to Mitch, even though Mitch slightly earned it. But I feel like Diego doesn't crumble under pressure. Rich doesn't either, but I don't know. I feel like Diego's mind games are stronger. But I don't know. I'm more or less thinking about them both as players, not so much as what they have in front of me here. I'm thinking of both as when I saw them both playing, and I know how they both like to play. Rich is that slightly less defensive textbook player, whereas Diego's more of that defensive textbook player. So they're both around the same size of that continuum that I give them. And it is going to be a pair of hacks. It's going to, it's going to be pure RNG, Mitch. Absolutely. But it's just, it's tough. But Diego's team is just better built, if you're really going to look at the Pokemon, right? Yeah, like we said, he has the good Celebi on the Houston Hawlucha side. You've got the Rotom Heat, the Milotic, and the, where's the grass one there? The Celebi core. But LA Ledians, like, they've got so many good defensive things. They have so many synergies in different Pokemon that they can send in. It's kind of like, I don't know, what the hell happened there? I don't know, like, Diego's team in itself just has more flexibility, whereas I feel like the Houston Hawluchas are kind of stuck with the same 6. And so far, Houston Hawluchas have not put in for a trade yet. So he actually is kind of stuck with less options. So until he actually tries to take a look at the Pokemon that he could try and take through, he's kind of stuck with less Pokemon. So I feel like the LA Ledians have a slight leg up, but Inert Fury doesn't disappoint. And funnily enough, if you guys haven't looked at the September tier shifts, Kingdra is now OU, so a lot of Pokemon haven't shifted, but of course that does not change anything about this tournament. No changes happen until we do the next draft. Anything gets banned, it stays in the tournament for the time being so that everyone can play out standard. Kind of like if you watch any other esports where you play on a particular patch, we're playing on the August patch. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the battle. I honestly just wait for the battle. Like I said, there are ranking implications here. It matters about second seed. It matters about Diego potentially being tied for first seed, which will be broken next week between the Arizona Articunos and the LA Ledians. So, I mean, and next week is the Houston Aluchas versus the Ottawa Centrets. So even if Inert Fury was to slip up, he might just get a free 3 points if we cannot find a sub for the Ottawa Centrets. Or he might just have the leg up because it's not the team that was built for the substitute or the new permanent coach. So we'll have to, I don't know, like, I feel like, let's take a quick look at the rest of the season for both these players. Sweetie's up against Scrubbington, Ivan, Mitch, and World Leader. So a couple of hard matches coming up, and then a couple of arguably, well, I don't want to call them easier. They're just statistics-wise, easier matches coming up. So if he can get past week 5 with as many points as possible, Diego should be cruising pretty high up to the first or second seed at the moment. Very easily. If we look at the Arizona Articunos, they're coming up with Diego, then Rich, then Ottawa Centrets, whoever's going to be covering that, and then Ivan. So arguably the harder one here. He has a very tough schedule coming up, but he's already got himself a pretty good buffer here with the 9 points. So if he can score up a couple of more 2-0s, it might be a little bit better. But I feel like Diego at this point, I almost feel like he has to get the 2-0 to just stay in contention for the first seed. Just because Scrubbington might drop a game to one of the future matches. And if you look at the Houston Haluchas, after tonight, they're going up against the Centrets, then they're going against Tyler, and then they're going against Ivan, and then Mitchie. So that's more of a balanced one. A couple of harder opponents, and there are a couple of lower ranked opponents. So I'm gonna say it, that Diego's got to do it tonight. He's gotta. Like, this is his time to prove himself as a top contender. It's gotta take down the Houston Aluchas 2-0. I don't think he can lose a single point in anything here, because even though he's got an easier schedule coming up, even if Diego gets 2-0'd, or even if he drops a point here and there, and the Arizona Articunos and the Houston Aluchas both show up, we could see Diego having to go into quarterfinals here. Lower ranked opponents. Definitely Scrubbington. If he gets 2-0'd, I don't want to see him drop from a 1-1. I want to see him drop from a 2. I'm kidding. But that would set history as the first time in 3 seasons where he has been defeated completely without taking at least one game off of people. But then again, we've said this before, when Diego was in that losing situation, Game 2, he dominated, right? He was in control of his adaptations in the substitutions. He was in control with the ability for him to just understand, this is what my opponent's gone for. They're most likely not going to switch or make this one slight adjustment. Because the disadvantage you have is, I always say, why fix what's not broken? But Diego finds a way to throw a wrench in the works. He's always the guy who looks at it and goes, yeah, why fix what's not broken? Because then I can adapt and take down that comp. And he has the answers. No problem, Rich. You're good. So, yeah, it's very exciting. And of course, if let's help Ivan out here. What's his schedule looking like after this week? He's got Mitch, then Diego, Rich, and then Tyler. He's got arguably the hardest schedule. He's against top 4. He's against, actually, you know what? He's against like the top 3 at the very least, right? He's looking, Ivan, you're gonna have a fun time for the next rest of the tournament. But yeah, I do think this has to be Diego's night. He has to crush Rich. And we're about to find out in the last series of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Can he do it? Or are we looking at the Houston Aluchas making a statement? Ladies and gentlemen, Houston Aluchas versus the LA Ledians. Game number 1. Look at the power. Nothing trolly about these movesets. This is true try hard right here on both teams. Let's actually analyze these teams. Diego's got super comfortable comp with him. He's got the Powdon Cresselia switching core. Both those Pokemon are just very fat, along with the Zapdos. He's just going to be able to tank up a lot of hits. Fighting's not going to have any chance. But we actually don't see the Fire, Water, Grass core come out of the Houston Hawluchas. We're only seeing Fire, Water, so maybe looking at a Mega Sableye to try and handle stuff. The Magic Bounce could be good against reflecting the status against these super high walls of the Zapdos and Cresselia. So this could be interesting. Hawlucha could have the opportunity to actually sweep here. Hawlucha might be a target that Inert Fury has to worry about here if he doesn't keep his Honchkrow alive or anything of the sort. But it is going to be the Sableye versus the Talonflame. Diego getting the offensive start against what Sableye might be trying to burn or taunt or anything like that. So we'll have to see what he's going to have to try and switch into. Rotom Heat makes the most sense, just has the Volt Switch pressure, but also just won't be able to take much damage from either the Flying or the Fire Stab. I think Sableye has to stay very healthy here as the Mega Sableye because of the fact he's going to be trying to, again, stop that status from wearing down his team. We know Milotic's going to be huge for him, and Mega Sableye himself. Even Rhydon, it's going to be very huge for him to keep alive so he can have as much switching momentum as possibly he can gain. Diego bringing out that Critra, it might have some opportunities here to get Inert Fury as well, because if he wants to take out the tanks, he can definitely set up on something like the Milotic. But it is going to be the Mega Sableye. Ooh! Inert Fury reading it perfectly. Actually ends up going just straight for the Toxic with the Mega up. Gets the Hippowdon early. The Earthquake's not going to do that much damage as Knockoff comes through. Weakens the healing of Rich's Anambla. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to try and read it backwards. Albman? Whatever that means. Maybe he likes ABBA. Who knows? But effectively, his Hippowdon has been crippled. It's going to have Slack off, but either way, he is going to actually end up going for the recover as the Talonflame switches in. Now it has the offensive pressure, but the Mega Sableye has already done its job and has weakened up one tank on the side of the LA Ledians. So we'll have to see how Diego's going to answer this. Although, mainly you're just going to have to look at to see if you can get the Sand up, try and get some chip damage here. But he actually stays in on the Talonflame as it goes for Swords Dance. Rich is like, I know what you're going to do, Diego. Gets the Toxic out on the Talonflame. That's going to stop it from doing any type of sweeping shenanigans for a very long time at least. Floodblitz and Brave Bird are generally the most popular things on this. Is this Acrobatics? It is still Brave Bird. Okay, so it's just going for as much damage as possible on the tanks while setting up an SD. Or just trying to maybe go for some late game sweeping. But regardless, that's the Toxic. What the... Oh my god. Well, as in Diego's words, got him. On to Rich, gets the poison out on the Rhydons. The Stealth Rock is going to come through as Critra comes in. Rich might be religious, but he's definitely going to be vigilant about taking out this Critra. As the sub comes out on the Milotic, this thing's looking to set up and just try and sweep with Draco Meteor at this point. I expect Critra to be this thing's moveset. It might be sub-agility. It honestly could be sub-agility. Oh my god. Focus Energy Draco Meteor. Because he knows Rich is not going to bring Shedinja. That's just silly. But Rich has got to figure out a way to break this sub. I don't know if Milotic can actually do it. The Focus Energy is going to come out. What does he have the answer for? Scald is not going to do anything. Is he going to get destroyed now? Oh no! Haze does not remove... Oh, don't read... Oh, okay, I didn't know that, Marie. My bad. I don't know what that means. But Haze does not remove Focus Energy, which means if this was Rich's answer, that's not good. that's not gonna do it. That's bad stuff. Draco's gonna come out. Oh man. Rich is in a really bad spot here. This Milotic is gonna get destroyed. And it looks like Rich has misclicked. That's bad. This could be really bad. Because now, Milotic, the fact that Rich has made a mistake... He's going to lose his Milotic, and that's actually a really big deal. I think this thing was supposed to handle the Hawlucha and the Talonflame, like, just very easily. But he's taking crit hits. What does he go into to break this sub? This is almost... I don't want to say game, because he's only got 8 Draco Meteors. but he might even just be not carrying the agility. He might just be going for the sub focus energy and be carrying Surf. This is too many hits for Rich to ever tank up with getting 100% crit chai. Yikes. This thing is terrifying. And I've been hearing about people talking about the Critcher whenever they play against Diego, just look at Diego's team. This thing is threatening, and this is probably part of the reason that it did go to OU. You know, some kind of rain setup into this thing going for Critcher. Oh, the miss, though, as Recover comes through. Rich getting a redemption for that misclick is going to start picking up the health. Now, we're going to take a look at the Los Luchadores and see if their team actually has a fairy type to ever handle this. The double miss! The game is actually hating on Diego right now. How many Dracos has there been? 4? He is literally wasting the team. Oh, no, it's actually focused energy and agility. I'm silly. I didn't see that. Oh, so he probably hazed the agility before I saw it, but it is Draco. He's wasting it. That's 4 of them right now. Recover comes through. Rich is going to do his best to try and waste this thing from sweeping. As he actually ends up going for the agility, trying to waste the recovers. Well played by Diego. He's just going to try and play some mind games here. It's 4... Let's put it this way. It's 4 Dracos to 12 recovers. At some point, he's got to predict... Oh my god. Is that the triple? That's the triple miss. Oh, was it Spec Swift Swim? Oh, that's disgusting, Squeegee. Welcome to the stream, by the way. He's going to go for the focus energy. He's just really trying to waste these recovers, but it's 3 Dracos to 10 recovers. I honestly feel like at this point, Diego's run out of time to try and sweep with this thing. He's just got to fire him off. I don't know. He can try and waste the recovers and take this thing down. I don't think Rich is going to fall for that. He just lets something else take the crits. But that's going to bring him down to a third. He ends up going for the recover. He can just spam it. He knows it's 2 to 9 right now in terms of PP usage. Wow. The solo attack Kingdra, which looked to be terrifying. I didn't actually notice the agility, so it was the solo attack. He was just trying and take out as much as possible, but Rich playing cool. Much cooler than I was expecting from me playing it anyways, but is going to be able to handle this terrifying threat. Although good to know the haze does not get rid of focus energy. I feel like we've experienced that before in this tournament. Well, either way, if Rich does run out of recovers, he's going to have to worry. I feel like Diego's going to go for a couple more agilities or focus energy, stuff like that. Just try and get the recovers down, make Rich maybe panic a little bit for later. He's down to 7 recovers, so if he's going to try and do any type of stalling against the Hawlucha later, or even the Talonflame, he's not going to have as many options, just kind of sit there and take the hits. I feel like if Diego goes for it now, you leave the Milotic at about 70%, try and get some type of damage in there with the Zapdos later, try and finish it off. That's probably the best bit. Typhlim, he really needs... That's a good question. He really needs his Milotic to be as healthy as possible, because he knows that outside of Draco Meteor running out, which it just did now, so Critra's basically useless. It could just stand here forever. But once he wastes the Draco Meteors, he needs something to handle the Hawlucha, which could be a very big problem for Inert Fury's team to take if it sets up with something like an SD or gets the Unburden boost going. So he's made the right decision here, stalled out the solo attack that Kingdra has been holding, which means now Diego has to decide if he switches, doesn't want something to get scalded. He might try and waste the scalds a bit by having the sub. It might seem boring, but this becomes an opportunity for Diego to at least try and get a pivot in, but I don't know if he can necessarily... He doesn't want something to get burned. I almost feel like Rich might want to go for a recover, just to have this thing back fresh for the future threat that is Hawlucha. Cresselia does end up coming in. That would be the best one. As the Toxic comes through, Rich doesn't care about my healing. He just wants the poison stuff. He actually gets 2 walls now crippled. This... Oh boy. Well, like I said, this is Diego's time to... Ooh, well, that's a good start. That Moonlight does that Moon Blast does next to nothing to Sableye, though. Knockoff is in the future, which means I kind of feel like Hippowdon's going to come back and just try and take it. It's already poisoned. It doesn't have an item on it. Might be able to slack off, knowing that it won't take as much damage. How much damage was it at? 63? It could do it. Zapdos actually ends up coming in instead, as the recover comes out from Inert Fury, just keeping all of his walls healthy. I've already mentioned this multiple times, but remember how I said defensive play has been winning the Pro Pokebowls? This is insane, but it does get defog. Doesn't matter because defog affects both sides anyways as the knockoff comes through. Don't know if that was necessarily worth it for Inert Fury to go for that. But Discharge is going to come through. Does get the para on the Mega Sableye. The Toxic does come out. Does start weakening these walls. So now all 3 of Diego's walls have been hit. I don't know if this is just him kind of submitting and knowing that he has to kind of come in with Hawlucha later. Because as long as that Milotic is pretty healthy and that Ice Shard Weavile is still alive, this is tough for him to try and come back from. But currently nothing has died yet. We're turn 28 in. Diego says all in Hawluchadors as the Rhydon actually comes out. This is advantage Diego. Doesn't have to worry about the damage, though. There's this. That's it. Yep. There we go. How you doing, Bane? This is the ProPokeBowl tonight. We're not doing any battles tonight. What does he have ready? So here's the thing, right? Rich... Interfere right now has to worry about a high jump kick. I don't know if the Rhydon's actually... Well, Rhydon does actually effectively handle the Zapdos, the Cresselia. But the Swords Dance come out. He does submit to going into the Rotom Heat. Knows he can threaten with a Volt Switch. Can this thing... I think this thing can kill with a +2 high jump kick. I don't know if necessarily he wants to... I don't know if Interfury's giving him an advantage now, or if he knows he can take the hit. Maybe he's doing some kind of damage calcs. There's got to be some kind of damage calcs going in on this. Because, again, they're going to make sure that if anything's going to set up, he's saved the Milotic specifically to handle this. He's got to know whether or not he can take out the Hawlucha with an electric stab move. Or if he's just going to let him maybe even set up the +4, and it could be bad. Having said that, though, well, +4 couldn't sweep through the team? I could see it, but then he still has the Weavile, so... I don't know. I wonder if the... if he gets as much damage as possible, if Weavile just comes in and gets the kill with Ice Shard. It's all up to Rich here. He's got to figure out what type of damage he needs to get through this threat. Because once this thing is handled, the Talonflame's been poisoned. The Cresselia has been poisoned. The Zapdos has been poisoned. The Kritra is dead. This is Diego's last hope to try and take Game 1 off of Inert Fury. You did, Bane? Hey, nice, man. You and Scrubbington should team up, because he's really doing well in PU as well. This is intense. The fact that nothing's died, but we know that there's a tipping point the moment Hawlucha, or even just Rich gets his defensive team in there and starts taking stuff out. Because at this point, you could honestly argue Diego's lost about half his team just to the fact that most things are poison status and have run out of ways to handle how much health Inert Fury's team has. He successfully stalled out the Kingdra. The Volt Switch comes through. It is a kill! Ooh, that thing is gone. I believe that was a Scarfed Rotom. One shot, handle SD, Weavile comes in, says, bring your fodder, I'm here to kill. That might just be... Does this thing outspeed everything? Is it faster than the Talonflame? I believe Talonflame is 1 or 2 base points slower. Yeah, it's 123 speed, Weavile's 125 speed. I think this thing just goes in and sweeps. Oh my god, this is terrifying. He's gonna look for that... Let's see, he hasn't gone for any move yet with Weavile. If it is the Choice Band one that he has been loving... He just locked himself in a knockoff, trying to do as much damage with it on the Cresselia. Can kill the Cresselia, switch out, switch back in, and just keep killing with Weavile. But I'm pretty sure Weavile just has a field day against Diego now. Both of them actually wearing down to half the time, 150 seconds apiece. Never seen that out of Diego. I don't think I've ever seen him think that hard before in a match. For that long, anyways. But I think this is the tipping point. Weavile definitely now, kind of like the Hawlucha for Inert Fury. Knockoff comes through. The Cobra Berry tanks up the hit as the T-Wave comes out. Diego taking a book, or taking a page out of Ivan's book. Bury it up and bury that Weavile in status. There looks to be nothing on the side of Inert Fury that could remove that paralysis. Inert Fury got jebaited, ladies and gentlemen. That sucks for him. It's not going to kill off the Cresselia either, which means this thing could potentially go for Moonlight. Moonblast, Thunder Wave. I wonder if this is that Lunar Dance. It could be Calm Mind. Look at Diego's team. He's got SD Talonflame, SD Hawlucha. It might be a defensive set. He's probably carrying... If he's carrying Could be double status, could be Lunar Dance, could be Moonlight. I don't know if he'd go Moonlight. I know Inert doesn't have any, like, auto weather setup, so... Bleh, auto weather setup. There we go. Fact of the matter is that Weavile has been crippled, so that's a big deal for Sweet D to come back into this. The other items are not necessarily out now. They get that cheese on the Weavile, but Game 2, Inert Fury's not falling for that. He knows now not just to go for it. But LA Ledian's down to 90 seconds as the Rotom Heat actually ends up coming out. The Lunar Dance is confirmed on the Cresselia. Might come out into the... Oh, interesting. Comes into the Kingdra. Does that give him the... That gives PP back? Oh, Jeebus. Oh, well. It's back. Kritra, round 2. Diego makes the sacrifice to bring this thing back to sweeping. It is the only other Pokemon other than the poisoned Talonflame that can do anything against Inert Fury. And because he's wasted so many... because he's wasted so many of the recovers on the Milotic, this is a lot better for Diego. He can try and switch it, and he gets the Hippowdon double switch on Inert Fury to try and get him to go for the kill on the substitute. Of course, Inert Fury cannot actually take that risk of letting the substitute go up. If he went for Thunderbolt, not Volt Switch, that makes me think that he's done a damage calc that makes him think he needs that extra damage, which could be bad now because he needs to switch something in, maybe expecting a triple switch back into the Kingdra, although I don't know if you want the Kingdra in when the Sand's up, but it might be his best opportunity. Not too sure. I think Hippowdon coming here set up the rocks, try and get some damage going, but instead he is going to switch back into the Kritra. And Mega Sableye being out here is not good. However, if he can't knock off the Scope Lens, I believe knockoff should get the extra damage bonus on the substitute. I don't know how... there are some interactions I've just forgotten. It's been a while for me, ladies and gentlemen. But if he gets the extra damage bonus, that should be enough to knock off the sub. Which is good, because if he doesn't knock off the item, he constantly gets the damage bonus, because the damage bonus comes if he has an item, not if he knocks off an item. But Rotom Heat comes in, sub comes through, Diego says, hello, I'm back. Now, having said this, of course, like we said, it's in the sand, it's starting to take chip damage, but it can try and set up. The T-Bolt is going to break the sub as the Draco flies through, gets the crit. Very nice for Diego, takes out the Rotom Heat. Alright, this is his time to try and get back into it, but the sand is not going to make this very favorable. He's got to watch out for Sucker Punch, potentially from the Honchkrow. He's got to watch out for the Weavile, eventually going for Ice Shard if he's not behind a sub and doesn't get Parahaxed. Although, looking at Inert Fury's team, looking pretty slow right now. It does look like to be the Honchkrow. Becomes a guessing game. Does he end up going for a slower Brave Bird, potentially risking a Draco breaking through and critting him? Or does he go for the Sucker Punch, predicting that Draco? Depends. Brave Bird for the sub, Sucker Punch for the Draco. Either way, he's got to be worried because... I don't know if crit kills from that range. I feel like, for some reason, I want to say yes. Honchkrow's not the bulkiest. It's got some bulk to it, but not incredible bulk. And honestly, if Diego's actually able to set up, he probably... He still only has 7 Draco Meteors. Rich still has 7 recovers, so if he plays around the mind games a little better, he can still technically recover stall those moves again. But... if I recall, that Zapdos is still at an okay... nothing else is an okay spot. Yep, this is Diego's last hope. That's a good thing, though. Everything's toxic after this, so... You still have SD Talonflame, which could clean up in the end, because for the first couple turns, the toxic's not going to be that bad, but it is carrying Flare Blitz and Brave Bird. So... well, actually, we've just confirmed Brave Bird. We haven't seen him use Flare Blitz yet. But it's recoil damage on top of an SD, so he's got to kind of use it as kind of like a suicidal finale. Try and get that last finishing hit boosted to kill him off. But the Luchador is down to 40 seconds. Ledian's at 60. Rich bringing out the Z Tailwind. So powerful, it's lagging my stream. As a Night Slash comes through, gets the crit. This team is killing my computer. Calm down, Inert Fury. That's too much power. As he now has Focus Energy, on top of the fact that this thing actually gets Super Luck. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. In crushing fashion, arguably, Inert Fury takes game 1. We got a series, ladies and gentlemen. That was big. That is certainly... That was a win. I think that was well earned. Wow. The fact that nothing died, and the fact that, again, because Pokemon is not just about how many Pokemon are left alive, how many Pokemon, because you can win with 2 Pokemon left alive, you can win with 6, you can lose with 6 Pokemon left alive, and that's pretty much what happened to Sweet D. His team was just so crippled early on that he just didn't have as many switches, and the Draco Meteor solo attacking Kingdra just didn't get through, which it had been doing for a while, but he also had Surf on most of the builds, if I recall, because he didn't have the sub. Just able to set up safely, but the substitute was there to make sure he couldn't get toxic by the defensive plays that Rich would bring. So he's going to have to think up something. That Tailwind, though, is going to be a problem for him. I think he definitely wanted to try and play around that Sucker Punch, make the switch, not get the damage on him, and try and get in and get a proper sub up on a wall. Didn't work, though. So what subs can they come in with? Alolan Muck might not be the worst thing for Sweet D. If it's carrying something like an Assault Vest, if it's bulky enough, it could take a few hits from the walls and try and threaten with knock off some items, try and get some extra damage going. I think the way that Houston Haluchas have approached this is very wise, right? Go for the status, go for the straight cripple. This was a very, I just like going for T-Wave and Toxic on everything myself, and then kind of have that one threat and just come in and try and do as much damage to get everything to the point where it just dies. I was a stall player. Anyways, but, I mean, not going for Celebi was a pretty good call inside of Interfere, because it turned out that Talonflame and Zapdos are both on the team. Did get the rocks up as well, but the defog did come through from the Zapdos. So I honestly think that just Interfury got the early advantage with the status. And I don't know if Diego can prevent this. Does he have anyone with Aromatherapy or Heal Bell? The closest thing he has is now the Lunar Dance Cresselia. Look, I think it's Heal Bell here, so he could try and go for the Murkrow maybe for some prankster plays if he has Toxic or Thunder Wave on his prankster. But I definitely think the Colbur Berry Cresselia is going to be on the mind of Houston Haluchas, not to make that same mistake. But despite that being handled, the Rotom Heat still did enough, and the Honchkrow came in and came out to be the final nail in the coffin for Sweet D. But that's foreboding because, like we said, Diego cannot fall behind here. I cannot imagine a world where if Inert Fury actually 2-0s Diego, not only does he break a record, and I don't mean to put too much pressure on you, Diego, but he would be shoved to Seed 4. I don't think I've ever seen him that... I don't think he's ever dropped from the top 3 ever. I'd have to go back and check... Well, it'd be hard to check the ranks. I'd have to do a lot of math, but... It's not a lot. It's just a lot of math. Not hard math, but it's a lot of math. But if that match is any indication of what's going to happen, I've always said, Sweet D, known for Game 2, right? Loses Game 1, this man comes back, fires back with a plan, says, fix what ain't broke, or I'm going to just take this over and bring out my own answers. Of course, you cannot change the movesets or the items or EVs on any Pokemon on the subs or on your main team, so he's going to have to answer with what he's brought tonight. And it all comes down to it. I think Inert Fury has his answer for at least the main team, and any type of defensive core that Sweet D's trying to bring, it's answered. So can he bring an offensive pressure that's gonna bring something back to the Haluchadors and make it scary for him? Let's find out. Game number 2. We've already heard that song. Oh, that's a good one. The Goods! As we go into game number 2 between Inert Fury on the close side and the Houston Haluchas versus the LA on the far side. We do actually end up seeing the Alolan Muck and the Hitmonchan come out. So now we see a Spinner instead of a Defogger. That way he can keep his rocks up on his side if he does end up setting up with the Hippowdon. I think Diego's approached this a little bit differently. He realizes he has to win the stall war. He has to get the walls hurt more. And the better way to do that is not to go for the Defog. He doesn't see a Ghost type other than Sableye. If he can work around that, get the Rapid Spin off, he can definitely keep some rock pressure, stop all that great switching that Inert Fury was doing during Game 1. Here we go, Rotom Heat versus the Alolan Muck. This is a free knockoff for Sweet D to deliver to Inert Fury. Question is, who takes it? I feel like it's going to hurt Sableye. This is why Diego has brought this Pokemon in turn 1. Let's see what's going to end up happening. Of course, this is the last match of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Afterwards, we will look at Week 4 matchups, talk about those a little bit, and then we'll see what the standings look like, because this is a big deal. 1 point apiece does mean that Diego is not in first place. Already, the Arizona Articunos hold sole possession of first place in Season 3. Sable actually didn't take as much as I thought it would. I thought it would take a lot more from that. But because it has the Mega Stone, it does keep the item, so he does continuously get the damage. People have told me it's when the item is knocked off they take extra damage. But the description on knockoff says if they're holding an item, it does extra damage. So I think Mega Stones work against you in that sense. I could be completely wrong. This thing could also be max HP, max defense, which I assume it's going to be. But regardless, Sableye only took a quarter. Says, teehee, I'm still Sableye. Get at me. He's going to have to switch to the Hawlucha. Actually makes a very aggressive switch. Toxic comes out on the Hawlucha, so it's not going to be able to live as much. But this thing can go for an SD and try and get a couple of high jump kicks or acrobatics off if he's carrying that. This could be very painful. Frank, I got a question for you. Would you like to officially take over Lukeman's team for the rest of the season? Or he's going to come in. The Swords Dance is coming through. Diego has the same idea. Let's just kick something in the face. Get it killed. Does he try and make the play with Mega Sableye? He does, but we see a switch into the Alolan Muck instead. Diego played a bit of chicken there. Lukemans. He ends up going for the knockoff again, as he's actually just going to knock off the Alolan Muck and knocked off the Assault Vest. So Poison Jab does come through looking for the poison. Doesn't actually get the poison as the Toxic comes out from Mega Sableye. Actually, Rich playing a little bit more aggressive here with his predictions, which tends to happen in a series, right? In Games 1, you might just get, that lucky little crit or stuff like that, and that didn't happen in Game 1. It was definitely outplays from Inert Fury, but once you get to Game 2, once you both kind of know each other's strats here, Diego knows Rich is going to have to try and get the defensive Pokemon weakened early, but Diego's trying to get his own points in there with Poison Jab, so we don't see a Recover come out. We're going to see a switch into Rhydon versus Kingdra. Now, he's not worried about a Surf, because this thing just has Draco Meteor, but probably tank it. Tanks it quite well. What is he actually going to go for? Earthquake does a lot of damage. Now, Cresselia's still there. We do know it's Lunar Dance, so it could reset this Kingdra. Now, knowing that it is Draco Meteor, he is just probably going to stay and try and do some stuff. Might go for a Toxic here, might have it, but instead just goes for Earthquake. This is good for Diego. Sweet D can now get up the rocks, which is going to halt a bit of how much freedom Inert Fury had this game anyways. What is the choice here? He could be carrying Toxic on this Rhydon as well, honestly, but at this point, he knows the Stealth Rocks might be coming up. Now, based on the damage that this Mega Sableye's taken, I wonder if Diego goes for the Earthquake instead. That might be what Rich is trying to decide here. Mega Sableye does come out. The risk is taken and doesn't pay off. Takes the damage. Does he think he's faster to get a Recover off? It wouldn't be possible in any universe unless he's put Speed EVs into this Mega Sableye. That's not good. Mega Sableye dropping does drop a lot of pressure here that could reflect the Stealth Rocks. I mean, Diego will get him up for free. Does end up just going for the Earthquake. Takes him out. I'm really just trying to see. I think Diego might have mind gamed a bit of Rich here. Losing that. It did feel kind of natural to just go for that Earthquake, predicting Mega Sableye, trying to reflect it. But at the same time, Rich knows how important it is to keep rocks off his field. So this could be tactical, just letting it die, further preventing the rocks. Now brings out the Weavile, threatens to go for an Icicle Crash or a knockoff, just try and weaken another thing. If he can't get status on him, the least he can do is at least knock off items, try and handle that. Knowing that, though, could go into a Alolan Muck, so Icicle Crash might make the most sense here. I think Diego's got a little bit more of a trickier team for Rich to manage here, but Inert Fury did not get as much pressure as he did in Game 1, so... Remember, this is on the line for Inert Fury to push himself up to, I believe, 2nd seed. To be tied with W. Wellington. To prevent Diego from getting coins from getting points. Keep him down to the 4th seed. Icicle Crash does fly out into the Alolan Muck. Does a lot of damage to it. And ladies and gentlemen, we have confirmation that Mr. Key to Succession will take over the team as head coach for the Ottawa Centrets. Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate that immensely. He will begin next week. He has the resources. He knows he can trade and everything this week, so thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. Either way, though, it is going to be the knockoff on the Rhydon. Does knock off the Eviolite, but I mean, Rhydon's already weakened. It's not going to mean too much unless it's like a really weak hit later on. But either way, he is going to get the Rhydon in on the Alolan Muck. This thing actually did the least amount for him last game, to be honest, so that's kind of why he's trying to send it out, just take the hits. But Hippowdon's actually going to come back and set up the sand again. Rocks comes through. So now, here's the question. Diego has Rapid Spin, right? Rich doesn't. He might have Defog on that Honchkrow. We don't know. We saw Tailwind and Night Slash. We didn't see him complete that. I feel like it's just straight offensive. But I mean, we also saw Toxic come out of an SD Talonflame, so what is he going to do here? I think it's up to Rich to try and figure out how he's going to handle it. Rocks are coming up. So I think he's now trying to decide. 3 Pokemon are weak to rocks. What does he do? Weavile actually ends up coming in as the rocks do come through. So Diego not getting maybe the damage you want to get on that Weavile. If he'd taken out that Weavile, it would have been a lot easier for Diego in this game. But now he has to worry about this thing dropping an Icicle Crash. Does he live from that range? I feel like this is definitely Choice Band the way he's playing it again. He loves Adamant Choice Band Weavile. It seems to be the movie or the set he's been going for quite some time now. Letting be his main carry in his teams. Just try and weaken up the main bulky Pokemon. With all the defensive mons being softened up, so he's going to make the switch to the Alolan Mug. Makes the most sense, does get that. Does he make a switch out? He does not. He actually stays in, goes for the Icicle Crash. I feel like he's just going to try and get the most resources out of this, but Hitmonchan comes in for free, most likely living in Icicle Crash, unless he flinches and then doesn't get it. But he could also go for Mach Punch here. Mach Punch could be on this moveset, which would kill it off. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to spin the rocks. It was indeed Mach Punch. Rhydon does go down. It's Life Orb, too, so bouncing around. Mr. Chan over there not playing around, so I wonder if he's actually going to Rapid Spin or if he's just going to take the rocks as is, knowing now that 2 Pokemon have taken out on the side. He has to worry about Honchkrow and Weavile, and after that, what looks to be a Scarfed Rotom Heat. But the rocks are going to start hurting, right? Milotic would make the most sense, but the problem is Milotic comes in, Spin comes through, and it is going to be it anyways, though. Has he accepted his fate that the rocks will be removed from Sweet D's side? Is this thing carrying Psychic? We saw Scald and Recover and Haze. But then again, Inert Fury knows that this thing could just take pretty much any hit that, like, even, like, Life Orb Close Combat would try and do. Tank it up, go for Recover, be perfectly fine. I think now, though, he's trying to think about whether or not he needs to burn Hitmonchan, or try and burn, or try and weaken it, or if he's just got to accept, like, if Rapid Spin's coming through, he goes for Scald. If Close Combat's coming through, he's got to Recover, otherwise he's losing his defensive Pokemon here. This becomes complex. Houston Alucha's running out of time, almost down to 90 seconds. Now down to 90 seconds. Got to make a decision quick. He's got to gain that. The only way you gain time back is to make plays faster, and then you can keep gaining your time back. But as it stands, this is the most important decision of Rich's play. He's going to make the double switch into the Rotom Heat. Let's see what he goes for. It's the Thunder Punch? Hello? That was not even in my books. But Thunder Punch does end up coming through. Doesn't do too much to Rotom Heat. Now he can actually just end up going for the Volt Switch, but it would be Mach Punch coming through. I think Diego definitely values getting as much damage on these on these Pokemon as much as possible. One less offensive threat when Diego's defensive core is up. That's a good sign in his books. That's what he likes. His walls have not been harmed. I don't even think that Cresselia has made a play once. It hasn't come out once yet. And, I mean, Powdon did exactly what he had to do. Earthquake a couple times, dropped the rocks, and he's good. So he's still got his defensive walls going here. I don't know. Like I said, Diego's adaptations in Game 2 after losing a match. He doesn't take it. Houston Alucha's down to 40 seconds. Got to make a quick play. Got to think this one through a little bit faster. If they run out, it is game. 30 seconds. Makes the switch into the Powdon. Let's see what he's going to end up doing with this. He ends up just going for the Thunderbolt. I think Rich has lost it here. Not particularly, but he's definitely losing momentum as the Milotic is now the easy switch. He's going to gain some time with that. But the Whirlwind comes out! Honchkrow is forced into the Sandstorm and rocks. It can't live in a desert, man. It doesn't know what to do with a bird. That's not a vulture. So, this is really bad because Diego has such a healthy Powdon. It can keep spamming Whirlwind here. He gets as much damage as possible. Night Slash has to come through. That crit did absolutely nothing. I think Diego is just going to do it with literally just dragging everything out. Gets all the damage down with rocks. Unfortunately, brings up the Weavile. If he brought anything else, would have been even better. But Weavile is down to half. Milotic, I don't think, got to go for a recover since it's 76. Honchkrow's hurt. Rotom Heat is going to be hurt. This is getting nasty for Inert Fury to take it 2-0. So looking on par for Sweet D to fire back and grab that sweet point. Doesn't want to break his record of not losing a single series in a regular season without grabbing at least one win. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, even if Inert Fury hurts anything, he still has this Cresselia. The Icicle Crash misses! Learned his lesson, obviously, from the Colbur Berry being on this Cresselia, but that's not good. He needs that damage. If he can get a flinch at this point, prevent that Lunar Dance, because I feel like he's just going to Lunar Dance onto the Kingdra, and just go ham from there. I feel like the answer. 20 seconds left on the side of Los Lahutadors. 10 seconds! The Icicle Crash does miss a second time! Moonblast comes through, Weavile's down, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's curtains. That Pokemon was pretty much the offensive threat he has. He brings in the Milotic. Of course, he's not going to give this up. He's got to go for it. Milotic can tank up the hits. It's feeling bad, though. Inert Fury having a bad time right now. Misses aside, Sweet D has brought a much better team comp that just seems to answer. Of course, you can't predict what they're going to bring game one. You can certainly practice for it. But it looks like the adaptations, again, we keep talking about Diego's adaptations between matches are impeccable. The Draco does not get the crit, unfortunately, as he's actually going to end up going for the recover. Alright, so this is good for Rich. Inert Fury's got his Milotic healing up here. Houston Alucha's not giving up. Gets himself back up to 30 seconds. Remember, the faster the plays he can make, the more time he can actually gain back for those later game decisions, if it does end up mattering. But this match is much faster, and I think it's because both players starting to read into each other's plans here. Weaken the defensive core. That's the theme of this entire series. Now the LA Ledian's spending some time thinking about this. Cresselia is going to come back in. We actually see a switch to the Honchkrow as well. Oh, this is good. However, we do know the Colbur Berry's on it. I don't know if a crit Night Slash would actually kill. One thing he does have to be careful, though. Actually, you know what? If he goes for Z Tailwind on the Lunar Dance, he will be able to outspeed the Kingdra and maybe kill it with a crit. That might be the damage calc he has right now. 20 seconds. Goes for the... He is going for it, but did Diego predict this? Oh, he got him! Ooh, Diego is not that silly. He knows Milotic comes in. Lunar Dance is now going to come out on the crit run. Ladies and gentlemen, it's miracle time for Inert Fury, but I think Sweet D has done it, has brought it back. Cool and Collect gets into Inert Fury's mind and knows what to do. I think it definitely helps that whatever switches he's made here, where he took off the Talonflame, he took off the Zapdos, put in the Hitmonchan, and the Alolan Muck, has certainly improved his chances here in Game 2 for sure. And has, most likely, earned Sweet D a point for this week. But let's see. We've seen stranger things happen in Pokemon. It is 5-2. Like I said, doesn't matter if you have 6 Pokemon alive or 4 Pokemon dead. You can still come back in very particular situations. This might be just one. Although I'm pretty sure right now Sweet D is thinking about what he has to do to take out this Milotic. This thing is very fat, has the recovers, has plenty of recovers still in stock. He has to actually kill this, right? The worst part being, I don't know what he's actually trying to think about, because I think Lunar Dance onto the crit would make the most sense, unless he knows that he can't kill through the Milotic. But in fact, we actually switch into Rotom Heat as the Thunder Wave comes through. Doesn't get the paralysis, though. Ooh. Nice play by Inert Fury there. He knows that he can't be paralyzed because he is an electric type. And he can actually stop the Kingdra from trying to set up a sub on a Lunar Dance, potentially. So that's interesting. But only 20 seconds in the bank. Oh my god. Inert Fury only 10 seconds in the bank. Oh, he's got to do it. He's got to make a move. He is so close to the wire with the play, but LA Legion's down to 180. Remember, even if there's a little glitch in the system, it is way too far into the game. The way we do remakes, if there is a clear winner, we can't call it. It has to be finished. If you're anywhere in the middle of the game and you know it's going to be over, then we call it. But if it's in a situation like this where someone DCs, unless it's in some way with, you know, halfway through a game, even at this point, we don't know if it's a clear winner or not, so it would be a remake. But Shadow Ball comes through. He actually ended up going for the trick there with the Choice Scarf. Taking away the Culver Berry, very interesting, but regardless, Milotic is going to come in. The Tailwind is down. It is now crunch time for the Holuchadors. What has he got planned? He's got a Choice Scarf on that Cresselia, which actually stops him going for the Lunar Dance for now, so he might be able to do some cheese here. I feel like Diego could switch into Kingdra. No, he can't. No, you can't, because the rocks will kill. But he actually stops the Lunar Dance, so it's a very smart play by him. He actually ends up going into it! Ooh! Okay, but he still has Hawlucha, which he can heal up and just set up an SD and try and kill him from there as long as he doesn't get burned. Hawlucha can come in now. It can't be burned, which means it can go for the SD without having to worry about it. I don't think crit plus poison is going to kill. I don't know if he can take a +2 high jump kick. Milotic versus the world. Smart by Diego, knowing he can't get the improper status. Burn would ruin this. SD comes through. Here it comes. The Haze once again coming out. Let's not forget that. Of course, that is going to be the thing that stops him. But Haze comes out. Does Diego just go... I wonder from this range of high jump kick can 2-hit KO. He's got to make a decision soon, though, because that poison is going to start racking up and taking rocks. He's got to make sure he can get it with just enough health to come back into rocks so that he can receive a Lunar Dance later. But then risks being burned, so I think... Oh my god, Inert Fury still has this. He still can take this. That's insane. I think this is one of the best attacks I've ever seen, but Sky Attack comes through, gets the crit! Wow! Ladies and gentlemen. Good God. But that crit spells it in the end. Pokemon says, I'm having too much stress. End this. Sky Attack finishes the game. Unreal. GG though. Holy crap. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look at the scores at the end of the night. With that 1-1, Arizona Articunos are the current kings of Season 3 at the top with 9 points. W. Wellington, the LA Legends, tied for second at 7 apiece. Houston Hawlucha's taking the 4th place with 5 points. New York Nidoran Males in 5th with 4. New York Ninetales 6th with 1 point. Glissa Padres and Ottawa Centrets still looking to get their way at least into the top 6. Their hopes pretty much of getting to the top 4 or getting to the top 2 are almost shot unless they really go really hard and get a bunch of 2-0s. But at this point, they're really struggling just to try and stay in the playoffs. Oh my god. Not nearly as close as with 1 HP Keldeo. Fair enough, Mitchie, but in terms of that, I mean, I need a damage calc. Did that crit matter? What was going to happen in that? I would assume a recover would come through on that Sky Attack. I don't know if it's actually calculated. It did matter? Because honestly, I didn't want to completely count him out because I thought that we'd be taking a lot more damage from the Hawlucha, but Milotic is literally, like, just the forefront of Inert Fury's team. It's insane how much work it's done the 3 weeks that he's played. But regardless, Thunder Punch 2-shots it. I see. Of course, Diego. That's completely assumed. But of course, if you got burned, you're going to have to switch back out, switch back in. You might get burned a second time, which could matter. Maybe not based on the damage that was being dealt. So, regardless. What was the whole, if I could sum it up for you guys, what was the whole thing about that series? That whole series was really determined by the defensive cores being torn down. Inert Fury Game 1 took it over by literally weakening Diego's strength with his switching and gaining advantage through momentum. Didn't get it. Had all of his walls hurt, and he just didn't have the proper Pokemon to take out Rich's defensive core. Game 2 brings in the Hitmonchan, has the Rapid Spin Pressure, also has the Mach Punch for the Weavile. Brings out the Alolan Muck, which just has knockoff pressure, is also able to come in, try and stop. Well, it's just a really fat Pokemon that just delivers a lot of damage, and could knock off the items that would be supporting Inert Fury's team. Just adaptations, man. I'm sweating from commentating that. I hope you know that, by the way. But yeah, that was truly a spectacle. Truly, truly incredible matches. And just shows, I mean, the level of skill that both these players bring to the table. And it's terrifying to think that that is what you could be facing in the finals, right? Just something that puts a lot of pressure on you. But regardless, that is going to be the end of Week 3. Let's take a look at the Week 4 matchups after all of this. The New York Nidoran males versus the Galissa Padres. Arizona Articunos versus the LA Ledians, another big one. W. Wellington versus the New York Ninetales. And the Houston Haluchas versus the new coach of Key Succession and the Ottawa Centrets. Give me one moment here, guys, as I switch these up. And we will talk about these very quickly. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out tonight. If you were here for the battles and not staying for the analysis, you're beautiful. Thank you very much for supporting this. I really, really do enjoy this tournament, and I'm glad you guys are too. But we are at that halfway point right now. This is the pivotal week. This will basically determine the majority of the top-end seeds and the low-end seeds, right? If you are pretty much in the spot of New York Nidoran males, New York Ninetales, Galissa Padres, or Ottawa Centrets, you're just fighting to stay top 6, right? New York Nidoran males has a legitimate chance. He's only 1-2-0 victory away from entering the top. But you have to look at the other 4 players and see how well the Houston Haluchas, LA Ledians, Wellington, and Articunos are doing, right? Articunos is a pretty tough one. Ivan arguably has the toughest schedule. Diego has a relatively easier schedule coming up, and Houston Haluchas has the easiest schedule, in my opinion, coming up right now. If I remember that correctly. I'm pretty sure I remember that correctly. Yeah, he does have the easier schedule coming up than Diego. So it's really going to matter now between the top 4 and the bottom 4 trying to get their points up there, because when you just fall so many behind, you need 2-0s. And if you lost that opportunity to try and 2-0 the person above you, it gets very difficult for you to try and take that advantage. So let's get this organized here. Oh, my freaking throat, though. Forgot the tea with honey. I will get some after this. Let's do this. Who's over here? Ninetales are fighting. Wellington. Galissa Padres versus the Nidoran males. Nice. Okay, let's do this. All right. Well, I think let's get the, I don't want to say the most obvious out of the way, but let's get the easiest one to analyze, because there's not that much analysis. The most we could just talk about is continuously praising Inert Fury for what he actually ended up doing with the matches tonight, and just being able to realize what he had to do in Game 1, what he had to do to take down Diego's strategy before he actually was defeated in the second match, just being arguably outdrafted. But, or just subbed, I guess. But he's going to be going against Ottawa Centrets. Key to Succession. We saw Key to Succession approach the Ottawa Centret team with a very aggressive approach. And as a result, it means that he just goes the hyper-aggressive strat, which I do think, that's not, oh yeah, he didn't make the switch here. Right, he didn't make a switch. It was Mitch that made the switch. But he still has the hyper-aggressive play. It works for Key to Succession, though. It is more of his play style. He likes to just go all in with it and practice a little more. Yeah, he's going to take over for it. Let me change his name right now. It's not Paul. But we saw how he battled. We know that he's going to be playing very aggressively. And I mean, with a team like this, he has really next to no choice but to play it kind of aggressive. But he does have the... Oh, wait, no, he didn't play... Oh, my God, he played with Mitch's team. I'm an idiot. Okay, let me reset this. This is the team with synergies, right? The Garivire synergy. He's got the Volcarona. This one's a little bit more balanced, which actually makes it kind of more interesting because with Mitch's team, it was just kind of like hyper-aggressive, hyper-aggression, hyper-aggression. This team is more about like, hey, he's got some cores he can bring out. He might be able to sub out a couple of Pokemon, try and get some better things going for him here. But, oh man, he might be thinking he's taking over a different team. He might be thinking he's taking over the hyper-aggressive team. Regardless, he still gets some of these Pokemon. Arguably a little bit more of a balance and more variety for him to work with. But if it's any indication, we saw him play more of an aggressive style, and I don't think that's going to necessarily take on Inert Fury. I think Inert Fury is just overall a better battler and just has more game sense to play calm in times of just like people going all out aggression. You saw it tonight, right? Like, Diego's trying to make these aggressive plays, and Rich is just like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's fine. I'm just going to switch to the proper wall, cripple that, switch to the next wall, cripple your next threat, and just make sure your defensive core is not a fallback. So, I really heavily favor the Houston Hawluchas in next week's matchup. And it might be a nice boost for the Houston Hawluchas to try and get more points up there and just keep their hopes alive of trying to get eventually to the top 2. Arizona Articunas versus the LA Ledians. If the LA Ledians were first place, I would say this is another huge tiebreaker now fighting for the first seed. However, with the one loss tonight, Diego's going to have to prove himself against us. Now, we saw this matchup before. In the finals, it was a 3-0 in the Celebrity Edition for the side of Sweet D. And it really was just having that superior comp. He did start in the semifinals. They both started in the semifinals, so they kind of got less information for each other. But certainly, if it's any indication, the LA Ledians tend to find something against Scrubbington that just makes it kind of like slips behind Scrubbington's thought process, and they actually practice quite a bit together. So when practice kind of falls apart and they kind of can't practice against each other very much, you start playing against different people with different play styles. You start practicing on the ladder, and you don't get that same feeling of how your opponent plays. But I mean, they know how each other play. Arizona Articunas again being that very balanced player. But in the past, this has worked out in Diego's favor. I think Sweet D just gets that. However, having said that, it's even more arguably in Sweet D's favor because not only does he still have his good defensive core, Articunos don't have a Mega Alakazam to fall back on. That was a big thing that gave Diego a headache last season. And on top of that, like the speed, he's going to have to now rely on setup pokes. And if we know anything about Diego, when he gets the defensive core against setup pokes, he just completely shuts them down. So I'm kind of curious to see if he can figure out a way. He has made the switch to that Bronzong, seems to be doing okay with the Bronzong now that it's on his team. It seems that for the last 2 weeks, he's actually been making quite good use of it. So I'm kind of curious to see what exactly he's going to bring against the LA Ledians. I do think the Ledians, though, have... the Alolan going to put a lot of pressure down, just take out the good items. He has the Talonflame to try and hit on the Conkeldurr. Like, really, you have to worry about the Conkeldurr, the Feraligatr, and the Porygon Z. I don't consider... Like, I like the defensive core coming out of Scrubbington. I think Gramble is going to be extremely important to handle Hawlucha, to handle Talonflame, stuff like that, just with Intimidate drops on top of Play Rough. But, he might even have to go like the Heal Bell on the Gramble because it might be nice to stop his walls from being continuously taken down. But if it's any indication, if he brings Crit Draw, he's bringing Surf next time because Draco Meteor's not going to do anything against that Gramble, not going to do much against the Bronzong, etc., etc. So, I'm interested to see if the Ledians can just break through this, or if Scrubbington can actually bring out an offensive core that can kind of take on Diego's defensive core. But I mean, his defensive core is always disgusting. He just knows how to play it around. It just seems to have some kind of just upper hand on Scrubbington every time when they play. So we'll see if it changes in this particular season. Now, here's one that brings it down to a little bit more of skill, kind of a similar skill. Ivan put on a great performance today against World Leader. Showed a little bit of weakness, again, making a mistake with the Wiki Berry. Also, kind of making it a little sketchy if that Heliolisk was taken down. Ivan should be taken down a peg, but unfortunately it did not happen. We cannot change the past. But Wellington versus the New York Ninetales. Ninetales not necessarily putting up the best thing. I still feel like they're trying to force some kind of defensive play out, dealing with the draft that they have. I definitely think that this is an example of fault to draft, not necessarily fault to players. You could say that the wrong moves were chosen at a particular time, but even just looking at the draft when he was fighting, he didn't have really much going for him, right? He didn't have... Even if he had set up Superior with the Leaf Storm, for example, he just wasn't going to break through whatever the Arizona Articunos had. So, I mean, the Bronzong just gave him so many pressure. And I think that Wellington has a good defensive core here to try and handle the same hyper-aggressive style, right? He's got the Florge, which is going to be great against the New York Ninetales. And if he's going to bring out something like... I mean, you know what? He doesn't really have anything. Maybe a Lone Golem with Gyro Ball, but like Haxorus is walled, Keldeo walled, Kyurem's walled, Superior is kind of walled. I think Florge gets some great value here over the New York Ninetales in itself, and plus he just has a arguably more set of pokes that are going to be more consistent, right? If you're looking at the New York Ninetales, you got the Cloyster with the Shell Smash, which hasn't done any work yet. We have yet to see this thing do any work, despite the fact having 2 games under its belt. But I think with this, I think we definitely need to see... Either he has to wait another week to get another sub, but it's going to be too late to beat Ivan, or we're going to have to see some creative things coming out, because, I mean, unless he's running, like, Flash Cannon, which he can, on his Kyurem, he's going to have some issues breaking through Wellington's team. I do give this heavily in favor of Wellington, just in general in terms of team comp, as well as just in general ways of play. It was against World Leader, no offense, World Leader, but obviously... some misplays on the side of World Leader as well tonight. But again, Ivan making that mistake is a little scary because, you know, I like seeing him succeed. This man's a Season 2 champion. This man has shown that he can play meta very, very, very well. But item mistakes like that and simple miscalculations or oversights like that can cost him in the playoffs, can cost him and just kick him out instantly, make him lose a lot of points later on, right? He has a super tough schedule coming out. I feel like this week helps him just reset, get his bearings, and just go from there and just try and help himself feel good against Tyler, Rich, and I think Diego? I don't remember. He's up against some... Let's just review this really quickly. He's up against some stiff competition. Diego, Rich, and Tyler. Yeah, he's against Scrubbington, Inert Fury, and Sweet Tea. He's gotta not make a mistake like that against them. He could just lose 6 points flat, or 9 points flat out right there and get stuck in a lower seed. The man right now is tied for second. Let him have it. He's gotta earn it, though. Last matchup, Galissa Padres versus the New York Nidoran males. Honestly, World Leader showed some great play tonight. I like the movesets he brought. Not incredibly crazy. Had enough to try and make Ivan sweat a bit. Just didn't pull through in the end, especially in Game 1. Didn't really show too much impressive stuff. But Game 2 definitely showed some knowledge. Knew that his Gengar was going to be good against the Terrakion. Knew that he could just get around these Pokemon. Just the Heliolisk gave him problems. He didn't kill it, right? So, against Mitch, Mitch has a much more threatening defensive core with the Alomomola Registeel. And he seems to be using it consistently. So, and now that he's added Pelosan to his roster, he has something to answer any type of electric thunder punches that are going to be coming. Electric thunder punches? Any type of electric moves that he's going to try and tech on his team on the side of World Leader. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I do want to give it to Mitchie. I think Mitchie just has more game sense. I think he's just going to have a really strong defensive core that's going to make it difficult for World Leader to break through. Although, we said that about Rich. And Inert Fury almost lost to the Snorlax. That thing just surprised him with the belly drum, came out and started smashing heads. So, made him sweat a little bit. And on the side of Nidoran males, he seems to be the most successful when he's actually able to keep that defensive core alive. Also been putting great use to that Dragalge so far. Definitely deciding the times when he needs that thing to handle that. So, if World Leader can figure out a way through the Dragalge, Alomomola, and Registeel core, he might be able to do it. Pokemon that I see on his team right now that could do it, that's the thing, right? Jose G15, this is the Pro Pokeball. It is a draft tournament that we run on the channel every so often. Try to do it semi-annually, but we're currently in the middle. We just ended Week 3, moving on to Week 4, and just doing some analysis for next week's battles. You've come right at the end. I apologize. Man, I mean, Energy Ball, Fire Blast, Chandelure, but then he can't handle the Dragalge. Like, that... Yeah, that defensive core is going to be really, really, really tough. Like, all of his Pokemon I'm looking at, Slowbro, I think Carmine Slowbro has really got to be the answer, because I don't know what else he could do. I don't... World Leader, this is where you need your brain, bro. You're going to have to come up with some cheeky stuff to break through that defensive core. I don't think you can do it. And again, defense has been the name of the game, and that's what makes it really exciting, is there's been a meta that's been growing around the Pro Pokeball in general over the past 4 seasons now. And it's including the Celebrity Edition, so technically 4, but we're gonna say 3. Either way, I don't know. He has to break it through, and if you can't break through the defensive core, we've seen that the results are pretty much, you know, straightforward. Don't break the defense. Defense wins in this one. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We had a wonderful Week 3. I apologize about I didn't cause a Twitch crash last week, but we are back on schedule next week, Week 4, September 13th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, for those of you who do not watch PTCGO content, that will be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. or around 8 a.m. until about 1 p.m. Eastern Time, in which we will be actually switching up the schedule. Please pay attention to the schedule changes. There will be some as a result of all my work returning and stuff like that, but one thing's for certain, the Pro Bowl is not going to be changed, so just pay attention to that. Also pay attention to Cheers for Charity, as well as September half-off subs if you're a first-time sub to the channels, and you can look up everything else. Here is the link to the list of social media, the community that I represent, and I want to highly suggest to you guys, as well as the ways that you can support the channel. On top of you guys just showing up, you guys have been fantastic. You've been fantastic for the first half of this tournament. Let's make it a great second half. I'm glad that we found the substitute to that one team. Thank you very much for coming out, and we'll see you in Week 4. Until then, have an excellent night, and peace.